What's going on? It's Trip Young. We are here on a special Thursday night edition, live, real fans, real talk. This NFL draft is going down tonight. We on Thursday night edition, pick number three
live,
right
real
now.
fans,
Real talk. This NFL draft is going. My bad. We had a little playback there. But it's going down tonight. NFL draft. We on pick three right now. We got a couple of our friends in media that's going to be joining us now, and throughout the night as we get through. I think we're going to probably stick around for the first round of the draft. We may get into a little bit and a little bit after that, but for right now we're gonna rock out. I got a good friend of mine, Will Carucci here. Will, introduce yourself. It's not your first time on Real Fans Real Talk, but introduce yourself and let the people know your program.
Trip, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate you. Always a pleasure talking to you and coming on your platform. Yeah, on the board sports, man. We've been doing this podcast now for the past, I can't believe it's about to be 5 years in June. But, it was Sean Thomas and I, we started it up, and then, I kind of went solo a little bit the past couple of months with it. Sean's been taking care of some, he's been working, doing his thing, trying to, try to right himself in that sense. So I'm happy for him in that sense that he's back to work, all that. So, we'd love to have him back on. But at that same point, the show's got to go on. So, we've been doing it for the past 5 years, been talking all four sports. And I remember a couple of years ago, we've been crossing paths, whether or not we've been on your show, you've been on our show. So it's been a really great thing.
Now, you guys, because Will, you're a Jets fan. Uh, you see, you got. I love Will. Always comes prepared, baby. He's always prepared. You guys made a huge a move. You guys made a big move. You finally got the trade done. Aaron freaking Rodgers is officially the Jets starting quarterback. How do you feel about Aaron Rodgers putting on that Jets uniform?
Okay, well, first off, with Aaron Rodgers, man, I'm thrilled. I'm hyped that he's a part of the green and white. And I got to be honest with you right now, every Jet fan has been clamoring for a quarterback now for really since Joe Namath, but or in our lifetime, really like Mark Sanchez, like something along those lines. But it's been absolutely unbelievable as a Jet fan to go through this saga, this story. And look, man, this team right now just needs some consistent quarterback play. Now, I understand that I've been going to a lot of Jet games over the course of my lifetime, and I know that this team needs an offensive line in the worst way to protect whoever the quarterback is. But with Aaron Rodgers here, we finally have some sort of consistency now, and we have that legit name, that box office name, that maybe, who knows, maybe he could bring us to the promised land. Maybe he can get us a home playoff game here. So, and I say we like I play for the team because I support and put in all this money to support them. But,
Word.
it's a little bit nutty, but I'm very, very happy about Aaron Rodgers being here as a New York Jet.
Now let me ask you this, because you guys did draft a quarterback early in the draft a couple of seasons ago, Zach Wilson. He he,
Yep.
he did say he was going to give whoever, if the Jets brought in a vet, he was going to give him a hard time in training camp. But do
Yeah.
you think the Jets move Zach Wilson at some point during this draft and try to get somebody to fill the spaces that they need filled on the offensive line?
Okay, so I would be very shocked if Zach Wilson is not a Jet. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't think Zach Wilson is going to get traded. So we're going to see what happens from there on out. I think he's going to be a Jet on opening day. I don't think he's going to get traded.
Okay, let me run through because we on pick number 3 right now. Two of my guys from Alabama, Roll Tide. Big shout out to the Alabama draft picks. Have been taken off the board already. If you haven't been watching the draft, Bryce Young went number 1, followed by C.J. Stroud, who went number 2 to the Texans. And then the Texans came right back around and they traded up, which a lot of people thought they would, for my other guy, who I think is the best player in this draft, offense or defense, Will Anderson Jr. Went third to the Texans. Will, talk to me about these quarterbacks. Did you feel like Bryce Young was the best QB in this draft?
Certainly. I think when you look at where Bryce Young was as opposed to C.J. Stroud and seeing the other kid coming out from, I believe, Kentucky, uh, he's a beast. He's a beast, no doubt about it. And when you're looking at the way how he's been playing and the way how he came through on his draft day stock, it's really a great thing to see that. And look, when you're looking at the Panthers, they needed a quarterback in the worst way, and this is a guy that's a dual threat quarterback, and he's managed to run a pro style offense. So the key here is with a lot of these young men that come in is maturity. They have all the physical tools to go out there and play well. The main thing is can they lead a bunch of grown men? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Can they lead a bunch of grown men? And you're putting a lot of pressure on this young man to succeed. But I think personally, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud should bring their respective franchises, both the Panthers and the Texans, to some sort of relevancy. So it should be. It may not be relevancy for this year, like Trevor Lawrence was to that extent, or what Cam Newton did, but they'll be fine. I think they'll be good.
I agree, and I think Trevor Lawrence is a perfect example because obviously we know how it goes when you get drafted in these top couple of spots, and usually in the top 5, you're not going to a top team in the league. We saw what Jacksonville had to endure Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, to where they are now, making it to the playoffs, looking like a really good team, and they're going to have Calvin Ridley, who is a legit number 1 wide receiver going into next season. But these two young quarterbacks, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, they're both going to have a lot to prove, and they're both on teams that have a lot of building to do. I do like the fact that Carolina picked up Adam Thielen. You're going to need a couple of veteran playmakers out there, and I think Adam Thielen still has a little bit left in the tank. He's obviously not what he was 3-4 years ago, but to have that veteran wide receiver in your locker room, I think that's going to be big for Bryce Young. As far as CJ Stroud goes, I think he's going to have a little bit of a tougher time, just because we know how historically bad the Texans have been the past couple of seasons. And they've got a lot of building to do, but I do like the move that they just made, trading up to take Will Anderson Jr. I think they may have gotten the best offensive player and the best defensive player in tonight's round one of the draft. So I like what they did, but again, they still are going to have a long way to go. The number 4 pick just came in. Anthony Richardson goes to the Colts. The
Okay.
Colts needed a quarterback. So I'm happy for them. Couple, 2 seasons ago, the Colts were a legit playoff team. They just didn't have the quarterback, behind center. Obviously, we know what they've been going through, with their quarterback struggles for some time now. What do you think about Anthony Richardson? Do you think he's the day 1 starter for the Colts? Well, you got to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm inside right now. So, by the way,
It's looking crazy. Yo, Will, I need to be where you at right now, Will.
that's where I am
It's
right
looking
now.
crazy.
I'm at the Marty Lyons Foundation draft night over here. So it's been pretty good. But as far as Anthony Richardson goes, can he be a leader? Again, another dual threat quarterback going off the board. Uh, I think personally, we'll see what happens with regards to what he does with the Colts. But right now, when you're looking at what Jim Irsay wants, you're getting a leader here from the Florida quarterback, and I think when you're looking at him right now, I think it's really a good thing to see him go out there. He's got some arm talent, no doubt, something that Indianapolis has been looking for a very long time since Andrew Luck went down and retired. But he's a dual threat quarterback, man. He can run, he can throw, and he can do it all. So the main thing here with Richardson is can he stay healthy? And I think that's a big key. So we'll see what happens with Richardson today. This is a good pickup by the Colts. They need a quarterback in the worst way, and they got their franchise piece.
Absolutely. I think the difference with the Colts in their situation is they've already got a couple of good pieces, in place already. They got one of the top running backs in football with Jonathan Taylor. They have a good young wide receiver with Michael Pittman Jr. So at least he's going to go into a situation where he does have a couple of weapons. They have a solid offensive line in Indy. So I think he actually is fortunate because he finds himself in a pretty decent situation. Obviously, that division is very competitive. But as far as I think he's going to actually have a leg up on Bryce Young, on CJ Stroud, because he is going into a situation where they do have a couple of pieces in place already. If he can just come in and not make mistakes, even if he comes in for right now as a game manager, I think he'll be okay because he does have a couple of pieces that are in place already. While we gotta let me say, I don't think the fifth pick is in just yet. So I'm gonna talk about my guy. I was decided I couldn't figure out whether I wanted to go Giants hat or Ravens hat for this one. But when I seen the deal came in, my main man Lamar Jackson, I said, you know what, it's gonna be Baltimore today. Lamar finally got his contract done with the Ravens. He is going to be behind center for that football team for a couple of years to come. I'm very excited about Baltimore because I think this puts them with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr. You're finally giving Lamar Jackson a legitimate number one wide receiver, and I think that's going to benefit him so much. What do you think about the Lamar Jackson situation? Did you think that Lamar Jackson would not be playing for the Ravens this season?
It's crazy his story, right? Because he doesn't have an agent. His mother was his agent for a little bit, and now he's his own agent. And he wound up getting a lot of money. I think he's now the richest quarterback in the NFL. Correct me if I'm wrong. After seeing that deal, I mean, I would love to have $220 million. I think you would too. Whether or not we're looking at it right now, there's still a lot of question marks. He's got to stay healthy, obviously. That's first and foremost. And then when we're looking at him, not only does he have to stay healthy, but people are going to put him on the run. And like you said earlier, he hasn't had a receiver like Odell Beckham in maybe ever. But Odell Beckham was number 3 on the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. So he had the attention off of him, and he matured a little bit. And I think now, seeing where they are, maybe we'll see some growth from Lamar Jackson here, not only as a quarterback, but just overall, just as an overall player in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think health is going to be the biggest you know issue that they're going to have to deal with in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, listen, you got your money. You're gonna have to do what it takes. You might have to get with LeBron James trainer and whoever he works with in the offseason, put that 1.5 million up so that you can get right and stay on the field. Same thing with Odell Beckham Jr. coming off of missing an entire season pretty much because we haven't seen him since I believe the first half of the Super Bowl. So he's gonna have to, yeah. So both of those guys are going to have to get healthy and stay healthy. Now, if they can do that, be honest with you, I think the Baltimore Ravens got as good a chance as anybody to come out of the AFC because now you have a legitimate playmaker for Lamar Jackson, something that Ravens fans have been begging for since basically since Lamar Jackson has been in the league. I love Mark Andrews, but they need that wide receiver, that deep threat that can get down the field. on a consistent level. And I think Odell Beckham Jr. definitely fills that void.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been, like I said before, I mean, they've been relying on Hollywood Brown and others to go out there and succeed with Lamar. So getting somebody that has that marquee name at receiver, I think that helps out a lot for Lamar Jackson. So it should be an interesting year in that AFC North, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Now let me ask you this. I know the Jets pick a little bit later. The Jets don't pick until 15. Is there someone that you had your eye on that you'd love to see the Jets draft?
You know, that's a very good question. As far as what the Jets should do, now I don't really, outside of the top 10, I really haven't thought about anybody from a receiver standpoint. I think maybe a dark horse candidate would be like somebody that plays middle linebacker because of where CJ Mosley is at his, you know, during his career right now. He's on the downward spiral, even though he made the Pro Bowl. But I
No.
think they still have to go offensive line. This offensive line last year, they lost out on so much. And when you lose out on Mekhi Becton in the season due to the knee injury, and then Elijah Perry Tucker getting not only switched around to different positions to try and fill holes in the dead offensive line, but he gets hurt in the Denver game, and you know it just hasn't helped out a lot on that offensive line. It just went downhill right after those two guys went down. They need a little bit more offensive line help. The Jets do. And I think they should go after an offensive tackle. Now, who's out there? I don't know. I don't have that list in front of me right now, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think Mekhi Becton comes back this year and can actually stay on the field?
I mean, the guy has absolutely shredded so much weight over the course of time, and he looks like he's super thin right now. I've never seen him, you know, in photographs like that before, where he's just slimmed down like that. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. But in my opinion, if the Jets go with a tackle, I think Becton goes to the right side. So it should be interesting. Seattle is on the clock now.
Okay. Now look, I think we got the AFC well represented right now. Big shout out to Nesta from the Hot Seat Podcast. He has just tuned in. It took him a little while to get the camera going, but he is here representing for the Buffalo Bills. This is the biggest Bills fan that I know, and he's been repping the squad for probably since way before I've known him. Nesta, what's going on, my brother? How's everything?
What's going on? Everything's good. How you guys doing?
Can't complain. You see what's going down. You see my guy is back. I'm happy.
Oh yeah,
I'm happy.
you finally signed him, man. Took a while.
Absolutely. Let me Nesta, let me ask you this. First of all, the Bills kind of exited out early last season. What moves do you think they need to make this season to get them over the hump?
Oh, we need a lot of pieces, man. I think they're gonna go best player available. We need O-line help. We gotta replace Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. We could use another corner because the secondary is banged up. Our safeties are getting older. Our corners are kind of young, so I think they're gonna go best player available on the board.
Now, this is actually a question for both of you guys because y'all in the same division. This is the AFC East right here. The AFC East just brought a four-time MVP quarterback. Is this the year that the Jets take over the division, or can the Bills run it back?
Yeah. I think the Jets, Aaron Rodgers plays the way he's supposed to play. I think it's going to be hard to beat them because they're going to be solid on both offense and defense. Remember, last year they were really good. What they didn't see was good quarterback play.
So we needed more than good quarterback play, though. We needed a little bit of offensive line help too in that one. So, by the way, very nice to meet you. Very, very happy to meet you on that note. But just looking at it right now.
You guys got a young receiver though who I love, Wilson. That young man took me far, and gave me a lot of victories in fantasy football. I cannot wait to see the connection between him and Aaron Rodgers and what those two do this season. I think Wilson is going to be set to have a breakout. I know, guys usually talk about the sophomore slump. I don't think that happens this year with Aaron Rodgers behind center. I think we're going to see him go even further than we saw in his rookie year.
Yeah,
Now,
I think when you look at Terry Wilson right now, he's just an absolute stud taking center role this year. The things that he did last year really wowed me because he looks like a true vet for a rookie. And he's so young and he's so explosive. I haven't seen something like that from a jet wide receiver ever. I know they had Brandon Marshall here, but that was for 2 years. They have Lavernius Coles here for, forever, just about. Felt like we had Trebet and Moss and Braylon Edwards and Antonio Holmes. But the Jets haven't had somebody like this, maybe ever. Even talking about like Don Maynard talking about from like the 60s, seeing the old video of him going out there playing Wesley Walker too. But this kid, man, is just absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. Now, Nestor, you mentioned the Bills need some defense. I'm looking right now. Seattle took the I guess I want to say the top cornerback in the draft, Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. Is there a particular quarterback that you had your eye on as cornerback? Excuse me, that you had your eye on in this draft? Because I know there's a couple of.
I like Witherspoon. I also like that Christian Gonzalez. I like him as well. He's pretty solid. So, and I like Forbes, the Forbes guy, Emmanuel Forbes. I like those three guys. I like Gonzalez, Witherspoon, and Forbes. But I think they're going to be gone by the time Buffalo's on the clock.
I'm about to say you might need a backup plan to the backup of the backup because you guys actually don't get up until 28. So we got a couple of picks to go before we get to you guys. So hopefully there's somebody left on the board. Talk to me though. Because obviously we all saw last season, the world saw last season what happened with Damar Hamlin. He's looking to continue his NFL career. What's been the buzz around Buffalo with Damar Hamlin?
They're not gonna rush him back. Remember, he was actually a third string. He was playing backup, second string, third string. So they're gonna ease him back in. So that's the buzz right now. They're not gonna rush him back to play, and he's not gonna get any playing time anyway, as long as Hyde and Poyer stay healthy. So that will help him. And plus, too, we got a couple other guys we signed as well in the off season. So he's gonna take his time to come back.
Now he was third string, but he did wind up playing because of injuries. He wound up playing a lot of games for you guys last season. Yeah. I think that's how he really got to showcase, his talents and what he's able to do. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him come back and play. I never like to see guys go down, but especially not with something like that and what happened to Damar Hamlin. So I really hope that he's able to come back and get back and better himself and continue to to improve his game.
Yeah. He's a celebrity now. He's meeting the president and everybody now.
Listen, man. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily wanted to take that route to get to that point, but what I'm saying. Listen, blessings come from every area. So when they come in, you just got to receive them, and
right.
And that's it. Let me ask you this, Nestor. Out of the big four quarterbacks, do you think the draft order was right with Bryce going 1, CJ going 2, Anthony Richardson going 3, and then there's Will Levi who's still on the board? Do you think the order was right?
Yeah, I think the order's right. I actually I'm looking at my notes right now. I actually had Bryce Young 1, Stroud 2, and Richardson 3. So I think it was right. But there was a lot of talk about Houston not picking a quarterback at number 2. So there was that's where the shakeup might be. But they went ahead and took the quarterback. So I think they did the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree as well. Let me take a minute, fellas. Just really quick, I want to shout out everybody that's tuned in right now on the live. I see some Facebook people here. I see some YouTube people here. Thank you guys for rocking out with us. Make sure that you guys are following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter @RealFanTalk, Facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk. And of course, youtube.com/For the Fans Productions. Also, we have our special guest friends in the media. These are our media friends. These are our sports broadcaster friends from all over New York. So make sure that you guys are following these guys as well. Will, I see you got your Instagram. That's the switch your name up to the Instagram, so when they watching, they can see your Instagram. I know that I know you want to know it's Nesta up here, but let them know so they can subscribe. We got, you know what I'm saying? Let them know where they can find you guys at as well. Will, let the people know when you'll be dropping new content.
All right, this is also so the people can find me at my Twitter handle at Will Giulici. Got a lot of noise going on in the background. And you can just follow On the Board Sports at On the Board Sports. Very simple. ONTHEBOARD. On the Board Sports. So we've been for 5 years. You know, the follow that is great. So really appreciate it.
Definitely. Y'all hear that? Make sure everybody at home, if you're listening, make sure you follow my guys Will on the Board Sports, and of course Nesta at the Hot Seat Podcast. Y'all know myself and Eric, we've been on both of these platforms before. They've been on our platforms. These are our guys. Whenever we need some help, we need backup, when we got to go to war, these are the guys that we call to talk sports, because these gentlemen can talk sports with the best of them. So they're always going to be recurring on Real Fans Real Talk, especially when we have these special nights. And these are some of the biggest football guys that we know as well, which is why we had them come. I know we got a lot of people from different sports that have favorites in different sports, but these are our football guys. They are aficionados. You want to talk football, you need to holler at Nesta or Will on the Board Sports, the Hot Seat Podcast. These guys will let you know basically whatever you want to know about football. Let's get back into this draft a little bit. Who's on the clock right now? Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Arizona. They got their offensive lineman, Paris Johnson Jr. They got a new offensive tackle. They are going to need it because Kyler Murray has been getting hurt the past 2 seasons. So they definitely needed to step up that offensive line. They actually traded back. I told you guys earlier, they made the trade with the Texans for that number. They originally had the number 3 pick. They traded with the Texans for the number 6 pick. So I'm loving that for them. Let me ask you this though, Nesta. When you look at Arizona, there's a lot of talks. Butter Baker maybe getting up out of there. I've been hearing rumors about DeAndre Hopkins, ready to get up out of there. What is it going to take? What do the Cardinals need to get themselves back to the playoffs?
Oh man, they just got to tear it down and build it back up again. I think they should just tear it down, man, build it back up. I heard D-Hop was supposed to go to Baltimore, man. I heard about a trade. Is there any truth to that?
Listen, first of all, don't get me the line because I would love that to happen. Now, if you want me to just speak it into existence, I will speak that into existence. DeAndre Hopkins is getting traded to the Baltimore Ravens.
There was rumblings about it about 24 hours ago about D-Hop going to the Ravens in a trade. So I don't know if that was supposed to happen. They were talking about it happening before the draft, but I guess it's false news.
If it's like Drake's song says, and it's God's plan, then it's going to happen. And now, if you tell me that you got Baltimore and they're bringing back the MVP quarterback, and Lamar Jackson got him squared away, they brought over Odell Beckham Jr., who's a legit number 1. You're gonna make a trade for DeAndre Hopkins and then pair those 2 guys with Mark Andrews, and J.K. Dobbins is coming back. That might be one of the most potent offenses in the NFL. Okay, if that's the case, I would love for that to happen. Obviously, that hasn't been made official just yet, but I will keep you guys posted on if it does. I would love for that to happen. I hope that definitely does happen because Lamar Jackson deserves that. He deserves. Listen, I mean, this past season, I was up here talking about Lamar Jackson maybe has a number 3 receiver at best. on this team. So if you're telling me we go from having a number 3 receiver at best, and we're gonna have 2 number 1 wide receivers plus a top 3 tight end in this league with Mark Andrews. Oh man, I'm good. I'm in a good place. I will take that.
What's going on with Bateman? Is he recovering pretty well? How is he doing? What's the word on him?
He should be back to start the season, but I'm just, once you start going out back-to-back years, when your career has just started with those type of injuries, it gets harder and harder. I'm hoping that this can be the year, because we've seen it in spurts with Bateman that he does have some potential. It's just, but he can't seem to stay on the field for long enough to really get a good rhythm going. Now if you have the chance, you come back, obviously you're going to be the number 2 wide receiver to Odell Beckham Jr., which will take a lot of pressure off of Rashad Bateman, because now, Odell's a guy you got to double. Mark Andrews is a guy, you have to double. That should free up Rashad Bateman to do some damage. So I'm hoping that helps. But again, he has to stay healthy in order for any of this thing, any of those things to come to fruition. That's the biggest thing. And that's, with the Ravens in general, they just have to stay healthy, offense and defense, because they got hit with a lot of injuries this past season on both sides of the football. So they really just need to stay healthy. Fellas, we got the Raiders on the clock. No more Derek Carr. He's up out of there. What do you think? What do you guys think the Raiders go with the 7th overall pick in the draft? You think they go offense or defense?
I think they probably go defense.
Yeah, I think they have to go defense here too. I mean, they've been the Vikings defense now for a long time, even when Derek Carr was the quarterback of the team. So they tried to help him out offensively, but the defensive numbers just haven't been there for them. I think they go defense.
Yeah, they were talking about that Weatherspoon guy going over there, but I think they might take the next best corner on the board, so that might be the Gonzalez kid. We'll see. Okay,
now seen was it Joey Porter's son? I think is in this draft too.
He's in it too. Yeah, he's the top. He's one of the top guys there too. He's the top 4, top 5 guys as well.
And that's a legacy kid. He might be somebody that falls to you guys that you could get. I know Pittsburgh is going to try to bring him home. But he's another one that you guys could possibly look into as well. I do think that the Raiders need to step that defensive side of the football up. I mean, you have arguably one of the best wide receivers in football, with the addition of Devontae Adams a season ago. Josh Jacobs, I think he's coming into his own. Last season we saw him really turn up. They may have to upgrade the tight end position a little bit, because obviously we know Darren Waller, which I love, is now with the New York Football Giants. So they might need to step it up there. But on the defensive side of the football, they've got to do better. They're in one of the toughest and most competitive divisions, so they're going to really have to step their game up on the defensive side of the football. So we'll see if these guys go look for something in the secondary. I think they're gonna probably take one of those top cornerbacks off the board as well. We'll see. They're on the clock, so we'll see in a minute. Let me talk to you guys, because we've been doing a lot of AFC talk though. I do want to get to a little bit of the couple of these NFC teams. The Giants, a lot of people gave them flack this year. They gave Daniel Jones the contract. They franchise tagged Saquon Barkley. Do you guys think that was the right move to give Daniel Jones the contract now and the franchise Saquon Barkley?
It was tough on that one. I don't know if they should have given Daniel Jones that contract. I feel like they were kind of pushed in a corner to do it. I mean, that was a tough decision. But they're not paying running backs these days. You can always find one in the draft or do a split carries kind of thing. So I see why they did that. So
yeah. Will, what do you think?
They needed to keep the quarterback. They needed to keep Daniel Jones in the worst way. Looking at everything, he's a franchise. He had himself a great year, an MVP caliber year, and I'll be honest with you. Saquon Barkley, say what you want about him. He got healthy and he finally had protection. He filled those holes up nicely going out there. So it was nice to see that for sure. But as far as what's going on with the Giants, they absolutely need Danny Jones back.
Yeah, listen, and I know a lot of people, because I had to go back and forth and defend the Giants and their decisions. You have to lock in your quarterback, and as much as I've given, because myself, I've given Daniel Jones a lot of flack throughout the course of his career, the first couple of years. But him, linking up with Brian Daboll, I think that was the best decision the Giants could have made as far as head coaching goes. He had those guys far, far, far exceeding expectation. And we saw Daniel Jones have his career year this past season. Getting a playoff win, beating the higher seed Minnesota Vikings. They did what they had to do. Unfortunately, like you said, Nestor, running backs kind of do come a dime a dozen in this league. You can always get a running back, and that's not to take away from Saquon Barkley, because Saquon Barkley obviously is one of the best running backs in football. Still, he had a great year this past season coming back. So I want to see him be locked in long term, but you have to lock in your quarterback first. And I mean, realistically, who else were the Giants going to get to play quarterback for them? Were you going to you're going to bring over Aaron Rodgers $50 million contract? No, I didn't think that was gonna happen. Jimmy G maybe, but if that's the case, I'd rather stick with Daniel Jones, who stays healthy, and I know is going to be there at the end of the season. Maybe Derek Carr, but Derek Carr's older, and realistically, I'd take Daniel Jones over Derek Carr anyway. So I believe they got it right, and they also brought in a couple of pieces to help out on the offensive side of the football with Waller. I think the addition of Darren Waller is going to be really good for Daniel Jones, especially, young quarterbacks. They need that security blanket with the tight end, and I think he can be that for Daniel Jones. They also brought over Paris Campbell from the Colts. And they re-signed a couple of their wide receivers. So I do like the moves that the Giants made. I'm looking forward to seeing who they pick up in the draft and which side of the football they choose to go with. That's going to be big as well. Falcons on the clock. What do you think, guys, from the Falcons? Offense, defense, where the Falcons going with it?
Oh, wow. That's tough. I want to say maybe Bijan Robinson might go here. You think Bijan goes here or no? I mean, I know they got the Algier kid from last year.
Well, Bijan is the best running back in the draft. If I'm the Falcons, do I take a running back this early in the draft, especially when you did mention they have Algier, who had a pretty solid season? Maybe because he might be just the best offensive player left on the board. I mean, actually, they may actually want to bring in a wide receiver too. Actually, I think the Falcons they don't. Yeah, I do think they're gonna address the offense. But I'm not sure if they go running back or wide receiver. Will, what do you think?
I think they're probably going to go defense here. I think with everything going on with regards to the NFC South, right? You got Carolina going out there and getting quarterback. You got the Saints. They got Derek Carr. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they lost out on Tom Brady, but you know what? They still have some pieces over there. In my opinion, I think Atlanta's going to go defense, maybe go on the defensive line here. We'll see what happens once the pick comes in, but I think they'll go defense.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they got a long way to go, and the South is bad. The NFC South went from bad to worse. First of all, the GOAT is no longer in Tampa anymore. They're pretty much going to be going through it this season. We know the Panthers are pretty much restarting. The Saints, obviously we know Drew Brees left 2 seasons ago now. They haven't made any major improvements. So that division is that division is probably going to be bottom of the barrel. I think that's going to be anybody's division to come out of. So yeah, I mean, listen, if any one of these teams has a shot to win the division, I think this thing is realistically is wide open right now. Um, if I had to choose one team to win the division, I mean, I guess the Bucks are just a quarterback realistically away because they still do have a lot of those weapons. You still have Mike Evans out there, so I would say them just because Carolina is really in a rebuilding stage. We've seen the Saints post Drew Brees. They haven't done much of anything, and I haven't really seen any major offseason acquisition that would lead me to believe that they could get back to what they were a couple of years ago with Drew Brees playing behind center. So Atlanta, this maybe this is Atlanta's year. Maybe this is their is their time to make the come up. Let's see what they do in with this next pick in the draft. Is there anybody that's been drafted already that you guys are surprised that they went when they went?
Ooh, let me get to see real quick. I'm surprised Witherspoon went so high. The corner, I'm surprised he went high. I thought he was going to be somewhere around 10, but yeah, Witherspoon so far.
Yeah, I think Seattle's trying to rebuild that
Legion of Boom, yeah.
The Boom. Shout out to Walter Thurman, past guest on the show, who's a part of that Legion of Boom. I think it's time. They did bring back Bobby Wagner, so that kind of will help out with the linebacker core, and I think he'll be good back in that system in Seattle. It didn't work. Things didn't work out for him in LA. So I can understand why they go cornerback. But because I think
they also have the other corner they got in the 5th round last year. Woodley, was big believe his name is. He played pretty solid last year.
So they probably want to get some help in the secondary. They're pretty much set on the offensive side of the football. With what's this kid, the running back that kind of just like popped up out of nowhere last season. Oh my goodness, I'm so mad. I'm drawing
Walker.
Yes, yeah. He kind of just shocked everybody this past season with the he had, and of course you got DK out there. You got Carson. So they're pretty much set on the offensive side of the football. So it makes sense that they would go and try to work that secondary out. They definitely needed help on the defensive side of the football. Shout out to Geno Smith, man. For a guy that was a journeyman really in this league, when Geno Smith took over the starting quarterback, I thought Geno Smith was out of the league. At that point, that's how crazy it was. But he definitely bounced back. And Nestor, you were right. They took Bijan. They went for the running back. Listen, everybody's got dual threat running backs now. Everybody's got the 2 running backs, so they'll pair him up with Algier, and they'll have a hell of a backfield.
They want to stop running. What's the name as running back? They said too. They want to put him as more as wide receiver.
Patterson.
Yeah.
Bears traded to the Eagles. Bears traded to the Eagles. The Eagles are on the clock.
Oh man. Okay. Now see, this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. I don't like the Eagles making moves and trading up like this. Okay. This ain't good for the NFC East right now. Whatever they do, I'm not feeling it right now. Let me see. All right. So now since the Eagles made that trade, do you think they traded up to go offense or defense? Because I know the Eagles need to replace a running back because
they wanted Bijan. They wanted Bijan as well.
And that was the thing. I know they wanted Bijan, so now I don't know where they go right now because if they were gonna go running back and they didn't get Bijan, they wouldn't have had to trade up. I think the next best running back is probably Jahmyr Gibbs.
Probably Gibbs, yeah.
So you wouldn't have traded up to get him. So now I'm not even sure unless they're planning on taking the tight end, Myers.
Myers, I like Myers. The baby Gronk, they said. They call him baby Gronk.
So unless they're trading up to get him, they're probably picking somebody on defense. Then maybe, you know what? They might be going to get a cornerback. Actually, they may have traded up to get one of the cornerbacks because, again, they wouldn't have to trade up to get a running back, and they're pretty much set at wide receiver Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. So I don't see them trading up to get another wide receiver. So it's either going to be, yes, I think it's going to be on the defensive side. I think they grab one of those cornerbacks that are the next best cornerback that's available in this draft. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. He got the bag as well. And you know what? Congratulations to the Eagles for not finding themselves in a situation like the Baltimore Ravens just found themselves in with Lamar Jackson. What do you guys think about Jalen Hurts and his improvement over the past couple of seasons?
Well, you got first, Will.
Well, what do you think about Jalen Hurts and his improvement over the last couple of seasons?
I mean, when they drafted him, I'm like, why did he even need a quarterback? And it shows where the Eagles are right now at this point. And it's because of him. So, and their defense too. But he deserves the money, absolutely, no doubt about it. And again, talk about these dual threat quarterbacks coming in into the NFL draft this year, seeing what Jalen Hurts did, for the past couple of years. They want that. They wanted part of that action. So, in a way, I understand that. But Hurts definitely deserves his money, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, we're talking about a kid who was, in the top 3 in the MVP vote this season. Obviously, a late injury kind of knocked him out of contention for the MVP, and we all know it goes to, my guy Patrick Mahomes. But Jalen Hurts had himself a hell of a season. Kudos to the Eagles for bringing over AJ Brown, a legit number 1 receiver. I thought that was probably the steal of this past season, and we saw how that worked out. Somebody who can take a lot of the pressure off of Devontae Smith, but also help Devontae Smith as well. And those two they played very well off of each other, because it's really realistically you can't double team either one of those guys. And that combination with Jalen Hurts, along with what Miles Sanders was able to do on the ground, pretty potent offense, probably one of the best in the league. I still would like to see how they replace Miles Sanders at running back. I know I was hearing the Derrick Henry chatter, but that nothing's been made official with that. What do you guys think? Do you think we see, so now since the Eagles weren't able to get Bijan, do you think somehow Derrick Henry winds up in Philly?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Well, we gonna see, because I'm sure they're gonna try to make a move before one of these other guys go after Derrick Henry, and that would be crazy. If you telling me you lost Miles Sanders, but you got Derrick Henry to replace Miles Sanders, that's gonna be some BS, man. I ain't feeling that at all.
I think that Jalen Hurts signing kind of helped with the Lamar Jackson signing, because once everyone saw what the contract Jalen Hurts got, I think Lamar was like, all right, you know what? That's a good deal. You know what? I'm not getting anything right now, so I might as well sign something similar. So I think that Jalen Hurts kind of set up for this Lamar Jackson signing today.
Yeah, I love it, because my guy is back. I'll probably switch my hat to the Giants hat once the Giants get up, because they pick before the Ravens. But my guy is back in Baltimore, and I am excited about that. But yeah, they got the job done. Do you guys think the Eagles win the NFC again this year?
No. I think it'll be the 49ers. I'll take it as the 49ers. That's my early pick.
With who at quarterback, though? The 49ers with who at quarterback?
Sam Darnold. Darnold's going to take him to the Super Bowl. Okay. That's coming from me as a Jets fan. Darnold's got the tools. Everybody's written him off. He comes as a cheap option. I could definitely picture that being over there. Brock Purdy's going to be out for a little bit. Trey Lance, they've been discussing trading him. I think Darnold's going to be the starting quarterback over there for the 49ers. He's going to take him to the Super Bowl. That's my opinion.
Well, the good thing about Sam Darnold, and I did like to pick up for them, inexpensive pick up for them. The good thing about Sam Darnold is he's going into a situation where, you have one of the best offenses in the NFL already, so you don't have to do much. Your job is to not turn the football over, and that's it. I think the 49ers could make it to the playoffs with me at quarterback. That's how that offense is when you're talking about Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. What's the back was Elijah Little, I think that's his name, the backup running back there.
Yeah, I forgot his name, Elijah something.
Yeah, they have so much firepower in San Fran that a game manager is going to take them on a deep run into the playoffs. So you gotta love that. Man, I see the Eagles fans is in the building right now with talking about some fly Eagles fly. Shout out to Jonathan on that one. He's another big Eagles fan. The Eagles did make their pick. Oh, okay. So the Eagles take Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. We said defense, and that's what they went for. They did go for defense. I know, Fletcher Cox, a guy that's been in this league a very long time. Yeah, and I know he was contemplating retiring this season. So I love that pick even more for the Eagles now that Fletcher Cox is going to stay, because he'll get to study from one of the best at the position for at least for this season. I think that's going to be a huge help for him and that Eagles defensive line. So big shout out to Jalen Carter. Shout out to Georgia. If you guys don't know, my football team out in Long Island, in the Catholic school league out there, Holy Trinity, they got a young kid that plays wide receiver out there by the name of Josiah Brown. And Georgia's head coach, he flew out a couple of weeks ago, had the helicopter, flew all the way up to Long Island just to check my man Josiah Brown out, trying to recruit him, get him to come down to Georgia. But I told him, nah, we ain't doing that. We got to get down to Alabama. And since Nick Saban already on the list, hopefully that thing goes down and my youngin can get out to Alabama. And I'll be saying roll tide for one of the best kids in New York State. He's ranked pretty high in as far as New York State high school football players go. So, but big shout out to Jalen Carter. Shout out to Georgia. Bears up next on the on the draft order. Bears had the number 1 pick. They decided to trade that pick to Carolina, and they got a hell of a steal for that pick. And on top of that, they got a legit number 1 wide receiver to go along with their young quarterback Justin Fields. Guys, talk to me about that connection with Justin Fields and more, and how much of an improvement the Bears offense will be with those two guys. Plus, they got an assortment of picks here. I think they probably go offensive line with their pick, because you got to protect Justin Fields. He finally started to come out of his shell last season, but you need the offensive line.
Yeah, you look at what's going on with the Bears right now. I got to see them in person and twice. Got to see them play up against the Giants. Got to see them play up against the Jets. But when I look at everything going on right now with the Bears, they needed wide receiver help in the worst way. If you look at them, they were always run heavy with Justin Fields, and because of that, they couldn't find a way to pass the ball. And it was always a predictable style of offense. Now that they got more here in this offense, it helps them out, and you get more because of these draft picks now coming in with the trades that they've had. You're building up this team the right way in that sense. Now it's up to Chicago to go out there and legitimately build this team up right. So they have it, and they started off the year hot on their defense, but it just went downhill right after that. So we'll see what happens with Chicago. But Jalen Hurts, he's the franchise right now. And Chicago are trading back down on all these picks. They want to, build around him. So smart on Chicago right there.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with all of these picks that they got in exchange for that number 1 pick. So that's going to be pretty big for them. They got a couple of picks in this draft, and they got some picks for next year's draft as well. So they're going to be good moving forward. Eventually they're going to have to re-up with Justin Fields, but I think that they've got enough over the next 2 seasons to really build that team up into something. And then we will, we'll see what they can do. Well, I definitely expect to see a lot of improvement though this year from the Chicago Bears. Really quick, once again, I just want to shout out everybody that's been bouncing in and out of the live and rocking with us for our NFL special. I think we got the legend in the house right now, ladies and gentlemen. Legend in 2 games is in the building. Eric Sanchez.
Oh, Eric, what's going on?
What's going on, fellas?
Going on.
Long
What's
time
going
no
on,
see.
fellas?
What's up?
How about those Colts, man?
Listen,
How
man,
about those Colts?
listen. The victory lap continues, man. After the Knicks, all the excitement they brought into my life over the last week. Now the Colts, we get our quarterback. Will, it's great to see you because I know you got your quarterback this week, so I know you're excited about what's going on with the Jets as well.
Eric, I gotta ask you, so you're a Met fan. Why are you wearing a Yankee hat for?
I mix them up. I mix them up all the time. I wore my Met hat last week, so I brought out the Yankee hat this time. Nestor was good, bro.
I'm good, man. What's going on?
I'm just super excited we got a quarterback, man. After all these years of retreads and recycled quarterbacks, we actually got a guy I'm super excited about. And I think our new head coach is going to be able to mold him into a really good high-level quarterback.
Hey, we all kind of got our quarterbacks within the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Everybody's good. Hey, listen, let me say this one more time. Because we still gonna keep this thing rocking and rolling. But I want to thank Will and Nesta again for joining us for the NFL special. We had to call in a few ringers for the NFL draft special. A couple of guys that know the game of football very well and have been talking sports for a long time. Between the Hot Seat podcast, between on the board sports, appreciate you guys for coming in. We also appreciate everybody that's been on the stream. We got a couple of comments. We got some more stuff going on. We got a long way to go in this draft, but make sure that you are following these gentlemen on their respective platforms. Follow them. They definitely got the sports talk on lock. We only call up the best to come and match wits with on Real Fans Real Talk. So if you see these gentlemen up here with us, it's for a reason. It's because they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're the best in the business at it. So make sure you guys follow them. It looks like the Bears have made their pick, and as we all said, they do go on the offensive line. They bring offensive tackle Darnell Wright from Tennessee to Chicago, so they are trying to protect Justin Fields. They now have a solid, legitimate tackle to watch that blind side. And I think that's going to help him get the ball to DJ Moore a lot this season. I'm looking forward to what those guys do this year. Eric, what's going on though, man? We've been rocking and rolling. You see my guys went early in the draft from Alabama. Bryce Young and Will Anderson Jr. 1 and 3 in the draft. But what's up, man? Are you surprised by any of the picks tonight?
I haven't been surprised. We talked about it prior to the draft that Arizona could be the wild card at 3. We thought Will Anderson would not go beyond 3, but we didn't know if Arizona would be the one taking him or making the trade. So I think the landing spot for both those guys is great, as was highlighted on the broadcast. I was listening to it. I was driving home. Bryce Young going to Carolina with that coaching staff and with the ability of them to mold the young quarterback, I think is great for him. And Will Anderson going to the Texans with DeMeco Ryans and everything he brings to a defense. We know what he did in San Francisco. But last year, the Texans committed some of their early draft capital to defense, and I'm glad to see they're continuing that trend, not just getting the quarterback, but also trying to load up on that defense. I love both those landing spots, man.
Absolutely. Let me see who's next in the draft order. Okay, we got Tennessee up next. I don't know about Tennessee, man. I don't know what they gonna do, man. They've been making moves that shocked me. Giving up AJ Brown for damn near nothing. Now you're talking about letting Derrick Henry go. Ryan Tannehill's, was pretty much up out of there. I don't even know where they go. I don't know what the Titans do with this with this pick, whether they go offense, defense, what. Maybe they pick up Will Levi, who's the last of the big 4 quarterbacks, so they can at least have somebody. They did get what's the kid? Malik Willis.
Malik Willis last year, who they already willing to cut ties with. There's been, the talks that there's just been the talks that they weren't really happy with him throughout the season, and they feel like, he's too far. He's it's going to take too much to really get them to that point. So, I mean, maybe you do go quarterback here, but I think they're in a full rebuild, so they could go anywhere, and they need help all across the board.
Yeah, that's why I said I think they take Will Levi because I mean realistically, what else are they going to do? They're in rebuild mode at this point now, so you might as well get another young quarterback in there, see what he can do, and try to build around him while you don't have to pay him much, and then you can just continue to build over the next couple of seasons throughout the draft. I don't know if anybody trying to go to Tennessee as far as no big name free agents.
Nah,
So
no big name. Ain't no big names ever want to go to Tennessee, but I want to throw a little curveball into the mix because we got competitors here. You know, Nestor with the Bills, Will with the Jets, AFC East rivalry that now has intensified a little bit because you add Aaron Rodgers to the mix. So I want to start with Nestor on this. Nestor, are you concerned in any way with the Jets now with that elite level defense? Because that's it is a very good defense, and now they actually have a quarterback who can make plays, and they have a very good young receiving core. They've got a really good running back. Do the Jets worry you now?
Big time. They worried me last year. They beat us last year with what's the name playing, Zach Wilson playing.
yes, you're right.
But people saying that you have to see, it looks good on paper, but they have to see how Aaron Rodgers, the whole chemistry with the whole Aaron Rodgers situation works out. So we'll see what happens.
And Will, I want to ask you now, right? The Jets last year, talent-wise, were good enough to be in the playoffs. They should have been in the playoffs, but obviously, the weak spot was the quarterback position. Now that you upgrade with Aaron Rodgers, do you feel now that you guys are in the conversation with some of the upper echelon AFC teams?
First off, let's just go 1 week at a time with this. I know from experience, heartache with this team and with this franchise. But no, I think they should be up there. And you get these guys like Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson in the second year, Jermaine Johnson in the second, going to go in there. The one thing that really worries me still is their offensive line. But in all reality, I personally see them as an upper echelon team now with Aaron Rodgers here in play.
Yo, he's right. They are. The Jets were really good this past season. They should have made the playoffs. That defense, they have a young defense that's really well and led by Sauce Gardner, who was going to be, if not already, he might be top 5 cornerback right now, but he's going to continue to improve. And now you're telling me they have consistency at the quarterback position with the 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and you have pieces on offense already because Breece Hall will be back this season. He'll be good, and Wilson. I mentioned this earlier. That was my guy in fantasy football, helping me along the way this season. The Jets are going to be a really tough team to beat. I would not be surprised if the Jets win the AFC East for the first time in
23 years. 2002.
It is 2023, so 23 years. There you go.
21 years.
All right. Well, either way, I think the Jets have a good chance of winning that division.
Well, listen, I think we talked about the young pieces, but the Jets have a well-rounded team. We know the defense, but also bringing in Alan Lazard this year, a veteran, proven receiver, a guy that Aaron Rodgers really can rely on. And CJ Azuma, the tight end last year, was a little banged up, but CJ Azuma was a big part of the Bengals run 2 years ago, and he's another quality guy in that offense that you can rely on. So that's what I really like about the Jets, the mix of those veterans with those young playmakers, and now you bring in the proven quarterback who's going to get you 4,000 yards passing. He's going to be able to mix it up for you guys and really keep everybody on their toes. So I like the Jets team a lot, man. I think the Jets are going to make a lot of noise this year.
Absolutely. The Titans have made their pick. They go offensive line. They take one of the top offensive tackles, Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. So I guess, they just like, you know what, we're just going to start rebuilding this offensive line for now. We'll get a quarterback later. Up next, the Lions at number 12. Lions had a little issue this past couple of days. Had some cats out there that was doing some gambling, which I'm very upset about. Jameson Williams out of Alabama, who was hurt a lot of last season, to be caught up in something like that is just crazy. Like, didn't y'all learn from Calvin Ridley and what just happened? He literally just miss an entire season for gambling, and you get caught doing this. And there's a couple of young guys that get caught up. Like, y'all haven't even really made your big NFL money yet, and you already messing up, getting suspended like this. That
to be fair though, Williams did not gamble on football. That's why his suspension's only a 6 game. It was NBA related stuff. So it does sound like just a young man's mistake. Whereas Calvin really did bet on a football game, and that's why he ended up getting a year suspension. So to be fair, but how can we criticize them, Trip? Every week we sit here and talk about the Bing Bong Parlay. I'm an active participant in the Bing Bong Parlays whenever the Mets and the Yankees are playing. Why would we be mad at these guys? Come on.
I'm not mad at them for betting on the games. I'm mad at them for messing up the bag. That's what I can be mad at you about. We talk about all the time how much we are in favor of these young men going into the pro level and getting to the bag. You can't be messing up the bag like this. Same thing when we talk about, we've talked about in the past, with Mary Jane. And these guys that get caught with Mary Jane, listen, I don't have no problem if you want to use Mary Jane. It's legal for the most part in most states throughout the country. But if it's on the banned substance list and you're going to get suspended or fined for smoking it, then you might want to wait till you retire or do like Ricky Williams did and retire early so you can go smoke your weed. He got a gym now. He got the weed gym. He good. He doing his thing right now. So that's my whole thing. But again, these are young guys, so I'm sure they'll bounce back. But I'm just disappointed because especially with Williams, because that Lions offense was potent this past season.
And that was the running back.
Yeah, and that was what I'm saying, being there most of the season. He's supposed to come in this season and really take that offense to the next level.
Mine might be on a delay because it's showing the pick is in it. It's not showing who they took though.
They got Gibbs, the running back
out of Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did because I believe with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, they left. Yeah.
So now they're gonna have DeAndre Swift and
they got Montgomery. They have Montgomery too. Montgomery's there too.
Yeah,
roll tide, baby, roll tide.
I like what the Lions have been doing the last few years.
Yeah.
With the skill position players and not rushing to go get a quarterback. Everybody thought when they traded Stafford and got Jared Goff that they would immediately try to go get the young quarterback, and they've done it the opposite. They've actually just built up all the other pieces. That's a young developing defense. You talking about Williams coming back this year. St. Brown last year having a good year. The running game is strong, so they're getting better and better. And I like the fact that they just continue to build around Jared Goff and try to give him as many weapons as possible.
Can we give my man Nick Saban over at Alabama his flowers right now?
Well, you see, that's why I'm wearing the pink. You ain't see I saw once I saw my man Nick with the pink blazer on. I said, "Oh, Nick is feeling like Nas." In the video with the pig, he was on on his joint. So
yes.
But Nick Saban is a legend. We know that, man. It's no disputing that.
Every year he does it. 3 picks in the top 12 this year. That's unheard of. It's unheard of, man. Big shout out to Nick Saban on that. We got the Packers. We got the Packers up on the clock next. Jordan Love, he might actually see some playing time this season. Which one of y'all feels like Jordan Love is going to take the Packers to the playoffs in his first year as the starter? Nobody.
I think that's a lot to ask.
You think they go quarterback here?
Nah.
That's disrespectful for a quarterback here. That is. I think they go. They wait till Aaron Rodgers leaves to draft a wide receiver in the first round.
No, I know, right?
Yeah, I'll be pissed off if I'm Aaron Rodgers, but listen, just to spite you, we're gonna draft a wide receiver in the first round. Oh man, yeah, I don't think Jordan Love gets him to the playoffs either. Well, all right, let me say this: what kind of a season do you think he has? As a starter. Because again, as of right now, I mean, they do have the young kid, the rookie, that kind of like
I think Watson.
They got Watson and they got Romeo Dobbs, the two young guys from last year.
Yeah, and they do have the running back was Jones.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah. So where do you guys think the Packers fall this season with record wise?
I'm going to say probably fourth. I'm going to say fourth right now. Because drastic turnaround. You look at what
4-5
Detroit's
wins.
done.
4-5
They've
wins.
gotten better. They've gotten better. You look at what the Bears are doing right now. They've gotten better, and the Vikings are still the Vikings. So I could definitely see them being fourth in that division.
Oh, you mean in division? I thought about to say, 'cause the first I thought you meant fourth in the NFC. I was about to say, whoa, that's crazy.
Well, last place in the NFC.
Okay, yeah. Damn, damn. When was the last time the Packers finished last in the NFC North? But there's a serious possibility that could happen this season. That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as Will mentioned, the division is stronger now because we see Detroit continuing to get better.
Yes.
We see Minnesota, who is a quality playoff team. And you expect the Bears to, take a little bit of a step forward. The Bears had some moments last year where they were playing well, and then Fields got hurt, and they just struggled. But you think all those teams are going to be better. And on the flip side, you're looking at a Packers team that no Aaron Rodgers, a guy in Jordan Love who doesn't have much playing experience, very inexperienced wide receivers, a defense that really wasn't that good last year either. So it's very possible that this might be like a 5 or 6 win team that's last place in the division. They don't have the toughest schedule because they finished third in the North, so they'll play a softer schedule. But the fact that they just don't have as much talent, I can't see them being a definitely not winning the division. But even coming in second place would be a lot to ask for them.
Yeah. I agree. Just because I don't see the Vikings taking the back seat not with Justin Jefferson out there. I don't care who the other wide receiver is. With Justin Jefferson out there, I don't see them taking the back seat. We saw, how the Bills were able to bring over a legit number one wide receiver. They just drafted one of the top offensive tackles, and they still got a lot of picks to go in this draft. And then, Detroit, that offense last year was potent. You just bring in another really good young running back, to compensate for what they lost with Jamal Williams. So they've gotten better, and the Packers just lost a 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, I think they do wind up finishing last. I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't finish last in this division just because of.
So, speaking of the Packers, we have a defensive lineman being taken, Lucas Van Ness from Iowa.
Okay, so they didn't pick a wide receiver just to spite Aaron Rodgers. Then
Nope.
Okay, so I guess they're gonna go with the young boys, man. They
had to. Remember, they had lost. I believe it was Preston Smith, who went to the Vikings last offseason. So they had lost the edge rusher last year. The defense did take a step back. So I like this move for them. I know, like Tripp said, it would have been comical for them to take a receiver right now, after all the years of not taking a receiver. But they got to address their bigger needs, and they got to be able to get to the quarterback. They got to be able to play better defense if they expect to compete in any way.
Absolutely. Let's see how it goes, man. I'm very interested in seeing Jordan Love play. Crazy thing is, if you guys notice, right, the cycle of Packers quarterbacks and how they've been getting their starts from the Brett Favre years on to Aaron Rodgers. Everybody thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be able to start a little bit sooner than he did. He wound up having to sit around and wait for Brett Favre, who winds up, staying, but then ultimately he lands with the Jets. Now Aaron Rodgers, who made Jordan Love sit back and wait for a couple of extra years. Now he's found his way over to the Jets. So I'm interested in seeing what Jordan Love does this season for Green Bay.
That's a good. I want to ask Will this because I've been thinking about it as well. You talking about the transitions towards the end of that Packer run. We heard the questions about Aaron Rodgers' leadership. Is that something you're worried about with the Jets?
I'm not. After hearing his press conference yesterday, he talked a lot about saying we the team instead of I. So at first I was going out there on social media and basically saying I didn't want Rodgers, and now after hearing him talk at the press conference and after all the quarterbacks going off the board, it was Aaron Rodgers and bust, and we all knew that. So I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm not one bit. I think he knows what the scenario is here and what his legacy would mean if the Jets win a Super Bowl with him at quarterback here. So it would mean that he would be a top 5 quarterback to ever do it if the Jets win with Rodgers under helm.
That's a great point, because legacy-wise, yeah, it elevates his legacy to a different level if he's able to not only win, even if he gets the Jets to that doorstep of winning. If he can get them to a Super Bowl, it elevates his legacy in a different way.
Yeah, and they definitely have the pieces on. They have a really good defense. They had a good offense last season, and now that's just been elevated with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. I could definitely see the Jets winning the division. I could see them making a little run in the playoffs. I know, guys, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had crazy success in the playoffs the last couple of seasons, but at the same time, he hasn't had this potent of an offense either, as far as from the wide receiver corps, because they just haven't been adding wide receivers to that Packers lineup. And I think the Jets give him what he needs. And I think for Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be a spike season where it's like, oh, okay, y'all y'all was trying to get the young boy up in there. Now watch what I do with the Jets. Watch where I take these New York Jets, a team that really has been kind of up in the air for a while now. A team that, would you say, 21 years since they've won a division. I think Aaron Rodgers comes to New York with a point to prove, and don't be surprised if the Jets win the division this year.
Would not be surprised at all.
Nest, I got to ask you, since we're talking the division as well, do you, as a Bills fan, lifelong Bills fan, you've seen the ups and downs, and obviously this last couple of years has been a really good window for you guys, but do you feel the pressure is becoming too much for Josh Allen and them? Because now they no longer like the young guns who everybody's excited to see. Everybody's expecting you guys to compete with the Kansas Cities and the Cincinnatis. And after what Joe Burrow did to you guys last year, now it's kind of like, we got to keep it 100 though. Like Joe Burrow went in there and Joe Cool was really Joe Cool over there.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the pressure is a little too much now for Buffalo?
I don't think there's any pressure. I'm glad the pressure's off. I think the pressure was on for the last 3 seasons, which that was our window. Now I think our window has closed, because even coming into last season, they were crowning the Bills to win the Super Bowl. And I'm like, I kind of don't like this pressure, because every year we kept getting better and better. Like, all right, they're going to get over the hump. And this is the year after signing Von Miller and all these other things that put us on the top. Like everyone is putting the Jets to go to the Super Bowl this year. I'm kind of happy the pressure's off the Bills and we go back to just being, flying underneath the radar,
Yeah.
So I kind of like it. I kind of like being the underdog. I don't like to be like the favorite, where everyone puts the pressure on us. And, now we go into games and we lose, or you should have won that game. And so I kind of like the pressure not on us anymore. I don't think the pressure's on us anymore.
Yeah.
I think the pressure's on the Jets now, because it's like they have to kind of win with Aaron Rodgers there. 2, 3 seasons they got with him over there?
Well, yeah, it's definitely at least 2 seasons. Go ahead, Will.
See what happens. See what happens with this year, and then he's only playing for the foreseeable future. We don't know what's going to happen the following year, but it's really 1 year. And yes, you are right, bro. You're right. A lot of the pressure is on us because we got the guy now. So you're 100% right on that. No doubt.
Even with the pressure for the Jets, I think there is pressure because it's Aaron Rodgers and this is a Super Bowl champion, 4-time MVP. But I don't think the pressure is as great as it was on the Bills, because the Bills have been on an uptick the past couple of seasons, and they were there. We haven't really seen the Jets, even though we've all said that they have a good defense and offense. And you add Aaron Rodgers is going to be a huge improvement, but we haven't really seen the Jets playing winning football cards in the playoffs. So I don't think the pressure is going to be that much on the Jets as it was on the Bills, at least not right now. Now, if the Jets go in this season, win a division, go out, let's just say they get to the AFC Championship game, then the pressure is going to be on for the next.
Absolutely, and not only that, but speaking of the Jets, they're on the clock right now, so we're going to see what happens here.
I was just about to say, I think there is pressure on the Jets because Vegas right now, I think, has them with the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl. So There is some pressure on him. I think, yeah. But again, this is the Aaron Rodgers effect. When you get a 4-time MVP, when you put him on a team that has that level of defense, you expect it to be a quick turnaround. And what Brady did in Tampa kind of spoils us because we expect these guys to just go somewhere and like, oh, you could just go win now. Yeah, Super Bowl, we good. We got the defense, we got the quarterback. But Will, I want to ask you before the pick comes in, where would you like them to go here? Would you like them to go O-line? Would you like them to address some on the defensive side?
O-line, no doubt. I think the dark horse candidate would be like a middle linebacker. But in my opinion, they have to go offensive line. They have to address the protection for Aaron Rodgers because last year, whether it was Joe Flacco or Zach Wilson or Mike White or Chris Streveler, that offensive line was terrible last year. Yeah. So they need to address this offensive line with this first game.
Yeah, and when is Mekhi Beckham coming back? He's been banged up for the last couple of seasons.
So like we talked about earlier, Beckham is he's been slimming down. He's been losing weight. The key here with him is he's got like we've been talking about. He's got to stay on the field. He's got to stay on the field and not get hurt. So in my opinion, I think he'll be ready to go for the year for sure.
Yeah, I agree though. The Jets do got to go O-line. You make the investment at the quarterback position. You gotta shore up the O-line here. It makes the most sense.
You think they grab a corner to go with Sauce? 2 shutdown corners.
We already got DJ Reed as a shutdown corner.
I was just about to say DJ
Reed. Like Reed over there?
I think DJ Reed has been a great compliment for Sauce on the other side. So I don't think that's an area of need, especially not in the first round. Maybe later on you might want to grab a corner, but not in the first round. I think Will's right. You go get an O-lineman, you shore up the line because, again, you're making the investment in Aaron Rodgers. You got to keep him upright. You got to protect him.
And this hasn't really been talked about a lot because everybody talks about how bad Zach Wilson played. Well, the battles are won and lost in the trenches. And, the defensive line was great last year for the Jets. But on the other side of the coin, the offensive line really cost the Jets a lot of games last year. So you can talk about the quarterback and play all we want. They finally got Aaron Rodgers, but the consistent theme of it has been for the past 12 years. It's always been about the offensive line. So we're going to see what happens now.
If real quick before the pick comes in, if the Jets underperform this year, do you think Robert Saleh is gone?
He's gone, absolutely. He's coaching a great job this year. This is like Eric Mangini back in 2008, all over again. It's the whole situation. It's like that. So it's history repeating itself, no doubt. No doubt. Saleh's coaching for his job. Anything short of the playoffs is fire.
It's about to be crazy over there where Will is at because Will is at the actual draft party. I know it's about to get crazy over there once that pick comes in. But yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna be an O-line pickup because you got to protect your quarterback. Again, we saw those guys go down injuries last season. From Mike White to Zach Wilson to Flacco, everybody went down. You have to shore up that offensive line, and hopefully Mekhi Becton can come back and actually stay healthy this season for the Jets. If that happens, if they can get that O-line going strong, anything's possible for the Jets this season. They just got to protect the quarterback.
And you get back Breece Hall too, so that's a huge pickup for them.
Yeah, that's the key to me that they get Breece back, which almost makes it like you get 2 first-round picks this year because Breece Hall, we see how explosive he can be, and now if you're able to show up the O-line, I think the Jets are going to be really, really good, man. I hesitate to put them above Buffalo just because Buffalo has shown it for the last few years, who they can be as a team, whereas the Jets still got to show it with Aaron Rodgers. But in terms of talent across the board, we really like Garrett Wilson. We talked about him last year, Trip. I like all the weapons they got on offense. I love Sauce Gardner. I love all, the picks they made last year on defense. Quinnen Williams is probably my favorite Jet out of everybody. And I like Sauce, but, what Quinnen does on the D-line, I think is phenomenal as well. So the Jets have so many good pieces. If they can just make this work with Aaron Rodgers, he don't even have to be MVP Rodgers. If he can just be high-level Aaron Rodgers, this is a really, really good team.
You think if Tua stays healthy, Miami's still in the mix? If Tua stays healthy?
Problem.
Yeah, I mean, Mike White is a great signing for them though, because it gives them the insurance and a guy that they know that if he got to play 5 or 6 games, they can rely on. But to Tripp's point, Tua not being healthy, I don't think he's healthy. I don't know how all the concussions are going to affect him. There was talk that he spent time this year with a jiu-jitsu instructor, like trying to learn how to fall. I don't know how that translates to the NFL, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, I don't know how that translates. But
Can he stop getting hit too? Like,
yeah, I mean, he said he literally said in his first press conference, I thought about retiring, but then I got with a jiu-jitsu instructor. I don't know how the two correlate, to be honest. Like, I don't know, but Miami has a lot of talent. I just don't see.
maybe the hits got him thinking that he should, hire a jiu-jitsu instructor. Maybe he just didn't know no better. I don't know. But I don't see how that.
So I'm going to give you guys a little spoiler alert. If you hear like a big eruption going on in the room right now, and where I am, it means that either they picked the right guy or they didn't pick the right guy.
Well, they see the pick is in.
If you hear the noise, I'm just going to keep the mic on for this one.
All right, we going mute because we want to catch the raw emotion.
I mean, listen, it's either offensive line or middle linebacker for me.
Well, I think Darnell Wright is the best out of the tackles that's left in the draft. So if they
Wright,
go
I thought Wright went to Chicago.
Oh wait, did he go to Chicago?
Yeah, he went to Chicago.
Oh, so then that might have been it then. Well, you're right. That's right. He did. So then, you know what? Yeah, I don't know who they're taking now. I'm gonna sit and wait there.
By the way, for all the hockey fans out there, Devils are winning right now, 4-0 against the Rangers.
Oh wow!
So
what's that series right now, Will? That's 2-2?
It's 2-2, but it's about to be 3-2 New Jersey.
3-2 Devils.
Yeah, that's pretty. And the Rockies going absolutely nuts. So for any hockey fans out there, and Game 6 for my team, the Islanders, tomorrow, it's going to be pretty. Can't wait for tomorrow.
Thank God for the Islanders. Somebody got to play playoffs at the Barclays. Somebody's got to play playoffs.
Barclays. We're at UBS Arena now, bro.
UBS, yeah.
Yeah, my fault. I apologize. I was taking a shot at the Nets. Really, it really was a jab at the Nets.
No more Barclays, bro. We got a forever home now. You kidding? It's all good though. I know. Listen, Barclays is great. But let's see what happens now with the Jets and their pick.
They trying to make us wait for real, right?
It's the build-up. It's the build-up. So
it's going down.
Absolutely. Here we go.
Hey, Jackson, what y'all doing, man? The countdown is on.
I was proud to be part of the global community that supports the life-changing wishes to Make-A-Wish grants. With World Wish Day only a couple days away, I'm joined by Kyle Stickles, the Make-A-Wish kid who battled and overcame brain cancer.
Love stories like this. Good for the kid.
Yeah.
To announce the first round pick of his favorite team, the New York Jets.
Yeah, let's see what y'all got.
To join me in cheering on Kyle as his wish comes true.
Let's see what we got. Here we go.
All right, get it.
Thank you, Mr. Goodell. I'd also like to thank the NFL, the New York Jets, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Northeastern New York for giving me this opportunity tonight.
Good stuff right there. Let's go, kid. Good stuff. Here we go.
With the 15th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Will McDonald, linebacker, Iowa State.
I am not surprised with this.
Man, I don't know, man. Mixed views.
I'm not surprised.
You like that
over
pick?
here is kind of stunned because they wanted an offensive lineman, but they needed a linebacker to probably either replace Quan or to replace C.J. Mosley within the next year or two.
I was just about to
move.
say this. Yeah, this move looks like it's directed towards C.J. Mosley possibly being out of there after a year.
I can see that. I'm not surprised. So I don't know. I like it on a defensive standpoint because you're addressing, and also too, like another thing that I'm gonna go outside for a second. I'm gonna go outside for a second because I want to just share my thought on this. Okay, so when I look at the pick and I seen what the Jets did, they went out and they acquired a guy who could probably play in coverage, who's a good blitzer, and this is something that Saleh wants at that point. I am not surprised by this. And when we look at it last year, that defense was getting burnt up like crazy because of how much the offense was bad. And now, because in the press conference, if we heard yesterday, they wound up going out there and they're really confident in the offense being out in the field so much, as opposed to the defense being out there all the time. So, in my opinion, like I said, they got they got it. I'm happy that they got the linebacker. I knew it was a dark horse choice, but it's something, and we'll see what happens there. But it cost them in the Patriot game, the second one. Special teams cost them, but it cost them there. The Bills game, up in Buffalo, cost them there. Defensively speaking, Minnesota, same thing, and the Lions game on the 4th and 1, where Mosley didn't read the play right and wound up going to a backup tight end to win that game. So I understand where the Jets are coming from with the linebacker pick on that one.
Yeah, and I will say this: the big four, as far as the offensive tackles go, that were projected to go in the first round, were all taken. Obviously, I think the Steelers took the last one, which was Broderick Jones, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they took Broderick Jones out of Georgia, and that was the last of the big four offensive tackles. So it made sense that they would go to pick up a linebacker to help out on that defense. I'm sure they'll go after a lineman in the later rounds, try to pick up a couple of guys, but they took what was best for them in the moment as far as who was available.
Maybe that's why the Steelers moved up, because they knew the Jets were going to take a offensive lineman. That's why they moved up.
Yep,
that's a great point there, and I think this move is kind of a wait and see, because this is a versatile linebacker. As you see, sometimes he got his hand in the ground, sometimes he's playing up in the traditional linebacker stance. So I think this is one of those moves that Robert Saleh is looking for more flexibility on the defense. When they drafted Johnson out of Florida State last year, he's the similar type of guy as well. And, dating back to Saleh's days with the 49ers, these are the type of guys he likes. Interchangeable defensive pieces that can move around the defense. And some of them are pass rush specialists, some of them are run guys. So I think with this guy, it's kind of a wait and see to see how they utilize him. But I do agree with Will, though. I think they should have gone offensive line if the opportunity presented itself. If there was a guy who was high enough there, because you got to shore that part of it up, I think, first. You can always figure out those versatile defensive players. You can always find those type of guys for the cheap. But to get a young old lineman in there that you could really develop, I think that's a little tougher.
Yeah. So they did what they had to do. Like I said, the last of the big four was going right before them. I don't think that they, accounted for the Steelers trading up to taking of offensive linemen, and the Steelers needed help on offensive line as well. So it doesn't surprise me that they would have traded up to get the last of the top four offensive tackles in this draft. So the Jets did what they had to do. Washington on deck, back to the NFC East. One of the top four quarterbacks is still on the board. Will Levi. You guys think with everything that's going on in Washington right now, they welcome in Eric Bieniemy to the team, the sale, all that stuff, there's a lot of stuff been going on in Washington. Do you guys think they take a quarterback?
I guess I'll kick it off. I think they should. But I think that the decisions of the previous regime have really put them in a tough spot, because they have this young man, Sam Howell, who was a mid-round pick last year, who people feel should get an opportunity to start. So to take another young quarterback now now creates a lot of friction in that locker room where it's like, who are we really developing now? Would we be developing Will Levis or would we be developing Sam Howell? So I think that's the little struggle with them. But the Commanders, like a lot of teams, but really their struggle for 20 plus years has been the quarterback position. They need a quarterback. They need a guy that can lead them. You know, all these 6 and 11 years, 7 and 10 years, that doesn't lead you anywhere. That just keeps you in the same cycle over and over as they are now. They need a quarterback, man.
Yeah, they don't have the guy just yet. So
I think they're going to go quarterback here, and I'm going to make this my final point before I jump off. Thank you guys again for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. But yeah, Washington needs a quarterback in the worst way. Their defense was good, and you know you saw what happened last year. Go back and forth with Taylor Heineke, and with even though Wentz wound up going to Indianapolis, they got to fix up their quarterback position, because if they could fix that up, especially in the NFC East, it could be, you know, they could be underrated. They could be an underrated team going into this year, where if they could get the quarterback right for them, I think they'll be an underrated team for sure. But guys, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you guys. Got to do this again more often, and definitely got to follow Hot Seat Pod again for sure. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. All right.
Yes,
Thank you again.
We'll have a good one.
So make sure you guys following On the Board Sports. Make sure you following Will Carucci, friend of the show.
In typical Commanders form, they take a cornerback.
I like this guy Forbes though. I like him a lot.
I don't. Yeah, it's not. I have none against the guy himself, but these are the type of picks. Yeah, but this is what I mean. These are the type of picks that keep you just good enough to where you're not drafting in the top 10, but you're never good enough to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you look, like, realistically, the defense is the strength of this team. With that defensive line, you know, and everything they put into that defense, that's the strength of this team. So to add more to that defense, like, oh yeah, it looks good on paper, but now are we expecting to win 17-14 every week? Because we can't move the ball.
Yeah.
They in the NFC East, so I'm okay with it.
I mean, of course.
And they didn't pick up what's the name's 30 option, right? They didn't pick up what's the name? Chase Young.
They didn't pick up his 5th year, and there's been a lot of rumors down here that he is going to be traded at some point this weekend. I've heard a lot of different. I even heard a scenario where the Colts would give up a 2nd rounder, like a 2nd and a 5th, for Chase Young. There's been a lot of talk about Chase Young being traded this weekend.
Would you like that if he comes to Indianapolis? Would you take him?
Yeah, I would love to take him because I think we have some good pieces on defense, but I think he could be a guy that could really thrive in what we do defensively with Gus Bradley. Ngakoue, who we got last year, had 10 plus sacks. Buckner is a really good D tackle, but we don't have that explosive edge rusher. So if Chase Young can bring that and we get a healthy Darius Leonard back, then we're talking about having a really good defense. Chase Young, his main thing has just been health. Nobody questions the talent. It's just, can he stay on the field? So as long as the price tag isn't too high, I wouldn't mind doing it.
Yeah, I listen. I don't think that's much for a top 3 pick.
Pick so quick.
The Patriots. See, this is why the Patriots are the Patriots. Christian Gonzalez.
They picked someone stupid again.
They picked Christian Gonzalez. Yeah. By a lot of people's accounts, he's probably the best corner in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And you get him. And I think, again, this is Bill just really scouting it up, really recognizing a guy that fits their need. I like this pick. Patriots still got some questions on offense. Don't get me wrong. But this is a really good pick. To get a guy like Gonzalez at 17, it's a really good pick.
Because they traded back. If you remember, they
traded back.
Still, so they got some extra draft capital. Plus, they still get arguably the best cornerback in this draft. We know that Belichick is a defensive mastermind, and we've seen the Patriots defense kind of carry that team. What was it? I think the second to last year Brady was in there. They was only giving up like a touchdown, something like that. It was like
they were the number 1 defense in the league, Brady's last year.
Yeah, so I love that. I love that pickup for the Patriots. Obviously, I don't think that pickup puts them back into the dominating force in the division, but they're gonna continue to build on that defense. I think they're gonna be good for some time to come. Plus, they got a little extra draft capital for trading backwards. Big pickup, man, for the Patriots.
It's a really good pick because that's a guy who's going to start from day one. Yes. That's why I really like it. Like you said, Trip, to be able to trade back get some more assets, but then also got to get a guy that you know you could pencil in like he's going to be a day one starter. I think it's a great pick for them.
Now let me ask you guys this, okay? So we know obviously the addition of Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. We know who the Bills are. We know the Dolphins. Do the Patriots finish last in the division this year?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. That's the take it. Go ahead. Start off.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they have enough firepower on offense to really keep up with the rest of the division.
Yeah.
And their quarterback situation. Weren't they trying to trade Mac Jones too? They put him on a trading block. They're shopping him around.
About it. I don't, but you know, we always hear the conversations about it. So I don't know if they were really going to trade him or if that was just like, you know, people throw feelers out all the time just to see is anybody looking, you know. So I don't know if that was actually the case.
I think they finished in last place, but you can never count them out because they'll start the season off slow, like 2-5, and then next thing you know, they're at 500. Like Bill Belichick always keeps them competitive, so you can never count them out. So they're always going to be there. They're just annoying. Just when you think that they're down, like with a 1-5 record, you're like, yes, the Patriots are dead. And then they go on like a 3-4 game winning streak and then right back in it again.
I will say this. They have the worst starting quarterback in the division. That I'll say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna probably finish last because the talent on the other teams is just too crazy. As we talked about, even without Tua, you know, all the weapons Miami has on offense and defense. Now that they add Jalen Ramsey to that defense, everything that Buffalo has, and the Patriots. Don't forget, Patriots lost, you know, a big part of their running game with Damian Harris, who's now in Buffalo. So they lose that part of it as well. There's a lot of pressure now on Ramondre Stevenson to be the lead back. He didn't have to shoulder that load last year. He got to split carries. So you don't know if you're going to get 300 plus carries from Stevenson. You don't know if he's built like that. So the Patriots don't have the great weapons on the outside. They don't have the really good quarterback. They don't have the really great running game. Defense is still good. But compared to the other teams, when you look at all the talent on the Jets, on Buffalo, on Miami, the Patriots just don't even stack up to that.
Juju's over there. What do you think about Juju?
Juju's a good complimentary piece.
He's number 2 at best.
Yeah. Like his role in Kansas City, I think, was perfect for him.
Yeah.
You know, if Juju win a game where he only had 1 catch, it really didn't bother him. It didn't mean anything. But if he had a game where he had 5 catches, great. We appreciate the effort. You know, I think in New England it's different. It's going to be like, no, we need you to get 5 to 7 catches every game. And I don't know if Juju's that guy.
Yeah. I agree. We got the Lions back on the clock. Do you think the Lions go defense, or do you think because remember Will Levi is still out there? You think the Lions take Will Levi, maybe, you know, have him, you know, as a backup, you know, and you know, until, you know, let Jared Goff rock out, and then, you know, they let Will Levi take over, or do they just go straight to the defensive side of the football and start getting that together?
This could be a place where you go get them. You know, you get that extra pick in the first round, I should say, and you develop them because, as you mentioned, Jared Goff's going to be our guy. We got a lot of weapons already. There really won't be much pressure on the young guy to even have to hit the field this year. So you could go that route, but I do think that Detroit expects to compete this year. So I think they would be trying to look for somebody who can come in and, if not at least be a starter, be at least a contributor right away. So they may look to add a little bit more to that defense.
I think they go wide receiver.
Well, they got Jameson Williams. He's gonna be back. They got receivers. They got
Jameson. They got St. Brown.
Yeah,
so they got weapons there. But I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they draft somebody else on offense, it's either gonna be QB or a tight end. I can't see them drafting another wide receiver. Even though
they might go up to the tight end. They might go up that number 1 tight end. You're right. They might go after him, Myers or whatever. Yeah,
maybe the kid Myers now. And
really, remember they did trade Hawkinson last year, so they do have a void there.
So now that might be where they go, because we haven't seen this is the longest I've seen in a little while on the drafts where we haven't seen a wide receiver go.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no alpha dog in it as far as tight ends. You know, every year we had like Chase and Waddle, and before that we had Judy and Lamb. This year, I don't really think there's one wide receiver that really stands out. That's one that's better than the rest. I think they kind of like, it's like hit and miss, man. They're all like on the kind of like the, I don't want to say the same level, but like it's whatever fits your system kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I agree too. I think that the receiving class is okay. I don't think it's
It's
as
okay. Yeah, it's
dynamic.
okay.
Yeah, it's not as dynamic as we've seen in the past, and that's probably that the receivers might continue to slip.
Yeah.
I mean, Nolan Smith might be a great pick here. I think Nolan Smith was really good at Georgia, and again, he would be a guy who could be an immediate impact guy with the Lions. But
Yeah,
you
we may
know
not see a
what? The
receiver
more I look
go.
at it, Trip, you might be right. Maybe this is the spot. Maybe you take the quarterback here, and it gives you some time to develop him. The most important thing about taking a quarterback in the first round is you get that 5th year. You get that
Yes.
extra year, you know, which buys you a little bit more time to develop him. So you don't mind him sitting for 1 year because you know you got 4 more after that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the draft order right now. We may not see a wide receiver go until honestly until the Giants
The
at
Giants.
26.
The Giants, yeah.
The Giants might be able to pick whatever wide receiver they want because I'm looking
No.
at you got Tampa, who's pretty much set at wide receiver. Maybe they take a receiver, but I doubt it. And I think if the Lions don't take Will Levi, I think this is the perfect spot for them to draft their next quarterback. Then you talk about Seattle, who already is set at wide receiver. The Chargers managed to keep their wide receiver, so they're good. Baltimore just brought over Odell, so and again, the Jaguars are set at wide receiver too, and they also get Calvin Ridley coming in to this season. So we might not see the first wide receiver go until the Giants pick.
I think 21, 22, 23 could be interesting because the Chargers are a little older at receiver, and then also the injuries. Mike Williams is always injured. Keenan Allen's a little older, so you might go a little younger there and take a guy. But you're right; it's not a big need. They don't have to do it. It would be more of a luxury pick.
Okay,
And
Lions go
Lions
defense.
defense. Yeah, like I said, I think they're looking for guys who can come in and contribute. And Trip, I don't know if you saw this. I just saw the alert. The Hawks beat the Celtics in 4th Game 7.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
The Knicks, I got a nice little path to the finals.
Holy smoke! Well, they need some. The Knicks do need some get back on Atlanta.
Hold on. I don't know if it's over yet. I thought it was.
Oh
No, third quarter. I think it's third quarter, right?
It says Hawks won't go away. That's all I saw. But then I looked. All right, so yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I'm about to say that would be crazy if they. Wow. Okay.
But yeah, there's like I said, there's a couple receivers. I mean, the Ravens might even go in that direction. There's been some talks that the Ravens were going to try to go all in on Hopkins. I don't know if the Ravens want to. You know, I mean, on paper, that would be super tough if they could add DeAndre with OBJ, and let's not forget Mark Andrews there at tight end. Like for all the years you talked about Lamar ain't had no weapons, he'll have some damn weapons now. You know what I'm saying?
Actually brought it up. So before you came,
that was true though. He didn't have any weapons, man. You gave all those other guys weapons. He didn't have any weapons.
Right.
And that ain't like, you know what? We felt bad. It took us this long to get the contract done. We're gonna get you Odell and DeAndre Hopkins. And I'm not mad at that one bit.
I think the receiver from Ohio State, who's a really top-notch route runner, could be a good pick, whether it be with the Chargers, whether it be with the Ravens. So I think that would be a good landing spot for him as well. But I think
Ravens may go cornerback though. I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because what's the kid that they brought over from the Rams? Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters continues to get hurt. You know, so
he's a little older. He's a little older too. Yeah,
he's getting older. I think the Ravens may take Joey Porter Jr. if he's available when they're up.
I like it.
Yeah, because the Seahawks already took a cornerback, so I don't see them taking another cornerback when they're up. It makes sense for Tampa to take Will Levi right here.
I think if you're Tampa, I think you have to take him. And give. I think you just have to. You got to give yourself a shot to try to rebuild something. Yeah, because they're gonna. You already see a lot of their guys, key contributors from that Super Bowl team, are either retiring or asking for trades out of there. It's gonna get really ugly for Tampa over the next few years. Solidify the quarterback position now, unless they plan on really tanking it out next year and trying to get in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes with the number 1 overall pick. Then it would make sense that you don't take a quarterback here and you just say, look, we willing to take our bumps and bruises next year. Yeah. But I think if you want to at least try to be somewhat competitive in the next few years, maybe you do take the quarterback now and start building.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately that's where they go because I mean, why not? Because ain't nothing else happening. At least you got a young guy in there now who can, even if he doesn't want to play in this season at all, he can sit, watch, study the game, and then be ready to take over eventually at quarterback. So I like that pick for Tampa, but we'll see in a second. Where do you guys think Seattle goes with their next pick? 'Cause they went cornerback first. Do you think they stay on the defensive side of the football and maybe try to get one of these linebackers, or do you think they go back to offense?
I think they
So on
go
with
defense.
defense.
Yeah.
Saying they might try to get a quarterback because they got Geno for the next 2 years. Let the quarterback sit and then
Well, I
sit
don't think
behind Geno.
oh wow, okay. So you know what, Eric? I think you were right because the
Tampa went
Bucks,
defense.
yeah. So you know what? They probably do take Will Levi here since he's available and let him sit behind Geno Smith. They just gave Geno that deal for 3 years. Let him sit behind Geno, let him learn, study the game tapes, and then boom. Once
It'll
Geno's
be
up, got one.
Yeah. Hey, I think Tampa definitely is just tanking it away next year, and they're just going to try to acquire as much young talent as possible before they settle on a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, I like what they've done with their draft the last couple of years, with getting the secondary right. I think they stay defense because they were 30th in pass and 30th against the rush last year,
Yeah.
and they got some weapons. And granted, Geno isn't the long-term answer, but Geno is more than serviceable. And as we saw, he can get you in the playoffs and make you respectable. You can always get a young quarterback either later or next year. But I think they want to get that defense closer to what they once were with the Legion of Boom, where they were, at least able to slow you down a little bit. You can't be 30th against the pass and rush. I mean, you just can't stop nobody.
Do you believe? What do you think about this guy Hooker, the quarterback? You believe?
So I thought he showed some. I thought he showed some flashes last year. I think he's still raw. He could be an interesting pick again for Seattle, but I don't. Again, I don't know if Seattle feels like they need a guy that they have to develop for 2 or 3 years. They may be in a position where they want to let it roll with Geno, and then once you settle on the guy you really want, which is what I kind of think Detroit's doing as well. Detroit has had plenty of opportunities to get a guy, and they haven't. We lost Trip there, but Detroit really hasn't forced the issue. So I think that's where Seattle stands with it as well. Because if they really like Will Levis, they could have taken him early in the draft.
Yeah.
They passed on him then, and obviously they didn't trade up from this spot. They're at 20 now. They didn't once try to move up to say, hey, if we really like the guy, maybe we could have got him at 16 or 15. They just stood and waited to 20. I think they're going to go defense again.
They're trying to recreate the Legion of Boom.
I think so. They spent 3 draft picks last year on the secondary. Their first one this year was on the secondary. So I think they're trying to get back the young guy they drafted today at number 5. Very physical corner.
Yeah. And they still got the from last year, Trip Yung Woodley. They got him like in the 5th round. He's been playing pretty
they got
well.
Woodley and they got the other kid, Kobe Bryant, they drafted last year in secondary. So they like physical corners. They went again this year with Witherspoon. I heard a stat. I'm sure you guys heard it as well, where they said something like when he was in press coverage this year, he gave up 1 catch for -4 yards.
Damn.
Like he's a true lockdown physical type corner that Pete Carroll loves those type of guys.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they're gonna go with it. Yeah, Trip just texted me, say he's trying to lock back in.
Okay.
I was gonna give it a few more minutes, try to see what some of these next picks were. What do you want Buffalo to do next at 27? Where would you like you guys to go?
Shoot. I would like a corner because our secondary is, I don't know, man. I always loved our secondary, but now it's not the same. I mean, when Micah Hyde and Poyer, I mean, they're pretty still solid 1-2 back there, but our corner is the suspect, man. Tre'Davious White is not the same anymore. He got that ACL and he's getting older. He's not the same anymore. He gets beat a lot. And Kyer Elam, who we drafted last year, he's young, but he's still trying to feel his way. And the rest of our guys, they're still young as well. We have a lot of 5th round and 6th round picks that play a lot of meaningful time for us. So I would like to go corner if a corner is still on the board. But Wide receiver. I'm tired of Gabe Davis, man. Everyone was drinking the juice on Gabe after one season, and he's not a true number 2 to me. So, and I think you can't just rely on Diggs too much, you know. So if we can get another wide receiver in there, we can go there. So
Yeah,
corner and wide receiver.
Yeah, the lack of another weapon really showed in the playoffs because the Bengals really did their best to bracket Diggs and force you guys to go somewhere else. You talked about the secondary.
Hopefully, with the signing of Harris, we do something. But I don't know if Harris and what's his name again from what's his name's brother Cook. I don't know if that's still do it. I think I would like if with what's the name BG what's it who got drafted by the Falcons?
Bijan
Robinson. He slipped, but I know he wasn't going to slip that far. I was hoping we can, but
a friend of mine that I work with, he's an Eagles fan, and he was hoping he was there. So I know he was heartbroken to see Bijan get drafted right before the Eagles.
I think they would have picked him if he got there.
Yeah, I think the Eagles would have definitely picked him. He fits their style so perfectly, especially after you lose Miles Sanders. To go get Bijan there would have been perfect. But you talked about the secondary. Like I said, they got some miles on them.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Hamlin? He recently said he's going to try to come back. Is that something that you think the team should even explore? Or is that one of them things where it's like, we kind of want you to kind of stay away from football just for a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier before you got on here. I thought he should have retired, but like Trip said, he probably didn't want to go out that way. I thought he should have retired and just focus on his health. But remember, he was, like I told Trip, he was second, third string, so he only got playing time because Hyde and Poit went out. So I think this year he's going to play, and they're going to ease him back in. They're not going to really rely on him to come and play any meaningful snaps unless someone goes down again. But I didn't think he wanted to go out like that. So I knew he was coming back. And then if it's like a feel-good story as well, So all the Bills fans and the whole Bills Mafia wanted him to come back. So I know he was coming back. But if I were him, I would have just chilled, man. If I would have almost lost my life at that, I would have chilled.
That's the competitive nature, man. You know how it is. Like we don't got to go out winning a Super Bowl every year, but guys don't want to go out like that. They want to go out about playing. And then we talking about a young kid as well, so I can understand him wanting to get back out there and play. And again, we all saw, the world saw it on national TV or online, wherever you saw that, and it was really bad. But if that kid is able to play again, the heart, he's gonna go out there and he's gonna do it.
Yeah, I think for me, and I agree, because I didn't know if he should even play again. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, we saw it on TV, like Trip said. So for us, it might have been way more traumatic than it was for him, because we don't even know if he really felt anything. Right? Yeah. He goes into cardiac arrest and then goes into a coma. When he wakes up from that coma, he may not have physically felt anything to even know what everybody else experienced. So to him, it might be like, nah, I feel fine, I'm good. Whereas we're like, nah, bro, we saw what we saw on TV that day. Like we know how tense it was for those next few days when we just kept waiting on reports to see if he was going to be all right. And for him physically, he might feel like, but I didn't feel anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt good. I made a tackle. I got up. Whatever happened. Yeah. And then when I wake up in the hospital bed, I don't know what took place for the last 4 days. So I think that's an aspect of it as well, where physically it's not like a guy like when Alex Smith broke his leg, he felt that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like he felt that, and he had to go through multiple surgeries. So to want to play after that, that's to Tripp's point of like the competitive nature. Like I can't go out like this.
Yeah.
But for
Hamlin, even when he wants to come back, remember Ryan Shazier? He wants to come back too,
he
but
wanted to come back.
Yeah, he did. It just when you love something, you're that passionate about it. If I'm older, if I'm in my 15th year in the league and I get hurt, something like that, I may walk away. When you talking about I'm in my third year in the league, I'm not trying to just give it up like that and walk away. I got a lot more to prove. You know what I mean? So I can definitely understand.
I'm gonna stick around for a few more picks. I just want to see what your Giants do, Trip. See what they do here.
Let's stay till Buffalo.
Okay, we'll stay to 27, Buffalo.
Yeah. Let me shout out because man, we truly appreciate y'all still rocking with us. This is the longest live that we've ever done. We about to hit the 2 hour mark in a couple of minutes, so we definitely want to shout out all you guys that have been rocking with us and bouncing in and out of the live. Again, make sure you guys are following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/realfansrealtalk.com. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/For the Fans Productions. And don't forget, we air every Thursday night in New York City on Verizon 43, Real Fans Real Talk. So you can watch us on TV, or you can hit us up on the website, realfansrealtalk.com. Click that red button on the homepage, and you can watch us from anywhere in the world, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. on Thursday nights. And we're live on the weekends with the live stream. So you can check us out either Saturday or Sunday morning. We be bouncing around. So just stick with us, man. Just follow the game tapes, and you're gonna be good. And make sure you guys are subscribed to both the Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show podcast. We're streaming on all major platforms. And of course, make sure you guys are now. I mean, I know y'all already following the Hot Seat podcast now. Make sure y'all following our guy Nestor with the Hot Seat podcast as well. A lot of good sports talk coming from the Hot Seat podcast. Definitely appreciate you rocking out with us, Nestor. I know it's getting late. We got a few more picks. We ain't gonna do the whole first round. We're gonna get to Buffalo and we're gonna call it night because we getting older. We gotta get some sleep in. So we're gonna get there all night. I'm waiting on Seattle. What's up, Seattle?
They picked in wide receiver from Ohio State.
Okay. Oh, Seattle goes wide receiver?
Yeah. You like that pick?
It didn't come in. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me see. Did it come in just yet? I gotta see it in a second. They're coming. It's running a little slow on my phone. All right, I'm surprised at that one. Wow, this all right, let me ask y'all this.
What's the name out of there? The other wide receiver. What's his Lockett?
No, because that's
washed up.
Wide receiver. There's no other wide receiver has been taken just yet. So all the other wide receivers are there. It was the kid Zay Jones.
He's saying with Seattle they still got Lockett. They still got Lockett. They still got DK.
DK, yeah.
I think that's just the backup to the backup because those guys get banged up a little bit during the season.
Yeah, this may be one of them situations where maybe they want to move Lockett more into the slot.
Yeah.
But this kid is an elite route runner. This kid actually, I think, for as good as Marvin Harrison Jr. as this was their number one receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously just wowed everyone throughout the year, but this was their number one guy for the last 2 years. He'll come in there. I think he'll give them some versatility. Remember, with the Seahawks having a bulldozer and Kenneth Walker as your running back, now you can really spread out defenses with this 3 wide receiver set. Some quality guys. So I like it. And again, this is what you do with the late first round, though. You look for quality guys who can come in and be effective right away. You don't need this guy to be the number 1 receiver, but if he comes in as the number 3 receiver and catches 40 or 50 balls, he's done a great job for you.
Let me ask you guys this, because now we still haven't seen Will Levi come off the board. I'm looking at who's left right now. The only 2 teams that's left that I really could see drafting a quarterback is maybe Minnesota and the Saints at number 30. Is there a chance that Will Levi does not get drafted in the first round?
Possibly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think so. There's a chance. I mean, you always have the possibility of trading out. So a team like Baltimore might trade out to pick up a couple more assets.
Unless Minnesota grabs him.
As I say, only Minnesota and New Orleans I could really see taking them at this point.
Minnesota could. I just think it all depends on where you view yourself if you're Minnesota. Because if you're all in on trying to win with Kirk, isn't this similar to like when Green Bay took a quarterback, Jordan Love, where it's like, why are you taking a quarterback when we could get another piece?
Yeah. That's why I asked the question, because I honestly, even though there's a chance that maybe Minnesota does, because we've always heard the rumblings about their feelings on Kirk Cousins. So maybe, but again, it's not like we're talking about Bryce Young or CJ Stroud is available and you have a chance to get him. This is the 4th out of the quarterbacks that were the top 4, top in this in this draft. So I don't know what it takes them, which now then I got to go all the way down to, like I said, to pick 30 with the Saints, and maybe he goes 30th to the Saints. that maybe I could see. But if the Saints don't take a quarterback, I don't see any other team because, okay, Baltimore just re-up with Lamar Jackson. The Chargers have Justin Herbert. The Jacksonville has Trevor Lawrence. They're locked in. The Giants just gave Daniel Jones his money. The Cowboys got Dak Prescott. The Bills got wow, am I drawing a blank with your quarterback, Nesta?
Josh Allen.
Bengals got Joe Burrow. The Eagles just re-up with Jalen Hurts, and the Chiefs obviously we know have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
so there's only 2 spots.
Yeah, it wouldn't be any of those teams. It would be a team trading out. It would be a team trading out. Like if I wouldn't be surprised if he's still on the board when you get to that range of the Saints, then yeah, maybe the Saints, but the Eagles might trade out at 30. Like, the Eagles, they were able to get Jalen Carter. The Eagles may trade out at 30 and just pick up some more assets for day 2. And then that might be a spot where a team moves up to number 30 just to take him.
Now, what about do you think Miami would trade up to try to get Will Levis to have him there as a security blanket? Because we all said we don't know what we're going to get from Tua this season.
Nah, because Will doesn't give you that. Will's still a rookie that you would expect to come in. And again, this team is ready-made to compete now. That's why they went and got Mike White. They wanted to get a more reliable backup quarterback. So I don't think you would go with a young guy. I think if he gets down to 30, then we might see a team like Tennessee make the move on.
Yes.
Then that might be where Tennessee makes sense for them to say, all right, we don't have to give up too much and we can draft him at 30. The Saints would be interesting there. Maybe the Raiders trade into 30 and get him because Raiders have Jimmy G on a 3-year deal. So he's not obviously the long-term answer there. And we know what Jimmy G is at this point as well. So it's not like he's so great that we can't go get a young quarterback. So I think there might be some options, but I think if it continues to drop a little bit, Baltimore to me though, if I'm Baltimore, I'm exploring trades. I would try to trade out of that spot and see if I could pick up some draft capital. Pick up a little bit more draft capital because if you are truly in the sweepstakes for DeAndre Hopkins, you're going to have to give up picks for Hopkins anyway. So why not try to get some picks now that you can leverage?
See, here's the thing.
You think the Cowboys get him as a backup and just because it replaced Dak? Nah. I can't
see that. They're paying Dak too much money to draft a rookie quarterback. If anything, the Cowboys are going to draft a wide receiver. Because that they need some wide receiver help. The only thing with the Ravens is again just because I feel like they do want to build up that secondary, and I think DeAndre Hopkins they're not gonna whoever trades for DeAndre Hopkins, nobody's giving up a first round pick for DeAndre Hopkins. No. It's probably gonna be like a second and a fourth or something like that. So I think the Ravens could still get their cornerback in the first round and be able to trade for DeAndre Hopkins. That's the only reason why I don't think the Ravens trade back in this situation because they do have a second round pick that they can give up.
The Chargers just got he was a so-called best wide receiver coming into the draft. This guy, what's his name?
Quentin Johnson.
But they say he drops a lot of balls though. But he drops a lot of passes. I wasn't too high on him too.
Yeah, first you got to put the pause on that first. But I saw a little bit of him last year. I wasn't too impressed by him. I also think that he's if you look at all these highlights, these are all clean releases. You're not going to really find a highlight where a cornerback put his hands on him and really made him work for it. And I think that's where he struggles the most. And in the NFL game, we know that everybody's fast at the NFL level. Every corner can run with you. Can you beat press coverage? Can you beat that cornerback that's going to maul you within them 5 yards? So, I mean, it could, don't get me wrong, it could work. The Chargers might be viewing this as an opportunity because they already have established receivers like Keenan Allen, like Mike Williams, where it's like we could just get that burn out there. But he's a guy that I think I don't think he's as good as they're trying to advertise him. Because like I said, I saw him a little bit and I wasn't too impressed.
Me too, yeah.
And he got locked down in the playoff game too. He did not have any impact in that playoff game. But that's, again, we're talking about the best college teams. And if you can't beat the best defenses in college, I don't know how you expect to beat the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah. It's gonna be
like the Chargers, like those tall, linky kind of wide receivers too.
Yeah. They like the guys, yeah. You know, so I mean, it I don't want to say it can't work. I just don't really see it with that guy because I think he's going to struggle with tougher defenses and more physical cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do the Ravens do here? Offensive lineman?
No, they ain't taking offensive lineman. I'm saying they're going to because all the top offensive linemen is going. I'm telling you, the Ravens is going to probably take Joey Porter Jr.
What's best available right now, Trevor? I'm about to bring it up right now and see.
Well, the best available is Will Levi, but that's the quarterback position. But the best
Unfortunately, they've
cornerback
already
right
paid
now,
for. Yes.
He's the best available. Yeah.
yeah.
You're
So
not taking tight end. Y'all got a tight end.
that's what I'm saying. We're not going to take a tight end. We got Mark Andrews out there, and if they are trying to work out a deal for DeAndre Hopkins, it wouldn't make sense to take a tight end right now because then that's just somebody else that you're gonna have to find some spots in the rotation. And I think they still got the other kid. What's the kid that subbed in for Mark Andrews when he got hurt? They still got him.
Oh yeah, the rookie. What's his name again? Yeah, he played all right.
Yeah, he was pretty good. So so I don't see them going tight end in this situation. That's why I said I think they go cornerback. And they take
Patrick Queen still over there.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's still there. Watch for. I think Joey Porter does make a lot of sense, but watch for. Like I said, Nolan Smith out of Georgia, really good high level linebacker, and the kid Miles Murphy from Clemson. I think would fit them because remember the Ravens lost Calais Campbell, so they're looking for a little bit of help on the defensive line. And Miles Murphy's a really big defensive end. He's not a defensive end in the sense of like a guy who can get you 12 to 15 sacks, but he's a very physical defensive end. He'll get you some sacks, but he's really good against the run. He might be a guy that they target there as well to fill that need.
Yeah. I'm interested now in who the Giants take because now, I mean, the Giants have picked up so many wide receivers in free agency. I don't know if they still take a wide receiver right now. So I don't even know what the Giants is going to do either. I'm confused at that one. But we gonna see. Baltimore is still on the clock. Let's see what y'all got, fellas. Come on, make me happy, man. Make me happy. Go get Joey Porter. Shore up that secondary. We need to get back to the Ravens being the top defense in the NFL. We need to get back to
how was the Giants secondary? Is all right? The corner.
They're all right, but I mean we could improve. But I don't think as far as the top cornerbacks go, I don't think that when they get there they're gonna be left. I mean there's the kid out of was out of Maryland who is decent. So maybe they go corner, but I don't know. I can't call it with the Giants. They actually, I think the Giants, if anything, they might go linebacker. As a matter of fact, because I know that's an area where they did struggle at. So maybe they go linebacker. When they're up, we got to see. I tell you one thing. Who would be good for you guys, Nestor, is the kid from Alabama too, Brian Branch, the safety.
Branch, yeah.
He's the best safety, in this draft. And you guys definitely need help in the secondary. The only reason why I don't see the Ravens drafting him is because they just drafted the kid Kyle Hamilton last year.
Last year, yeah.
So I don't see them drafting the safety in back-to-back years. But he would make sense for Baltimore. I mean, for Buffalo, excuse me. So I think that is something that they may look into. Is picking up a safety because I think he'll be on the board for them when they're up.
Yeah, I do think he might be there, and as Nestor mentioned before, that secondary is a little older, so you definitely want to get some young legs over there, and that might be their target. We got to see. They say the Ravens pick is in. We're just waiting for it to be announced.
I think so. I think with the Giants, I think if they don't take Zay Flowers, I think they're gonna wind up taking Nolan Smith out of Georgia, linebacker out of Georgia. I think they go for
Nolan Smith is a very good player, man. I like Nolan Smith a lot. I think the Giants may try to stir up some of that defense. They've made moves already for their offense. They went and got Darren Waller. You guys also signed Paris Campbell from us, who's a speed guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
they brought Shepard back.
Right, Shepard is healthy now, so they may not use a first. They may target a receiver later, but I'll be surprised if they would use a first rounder on a receiver.
Yeah, that's why I said they may go after Nolan Smith because he's ranked as the second best linebacker in this draft. So if he's available, they may take him. But we gotta wait and see. Come on, Ravens, throw that pick on the board, man. Let's see who we got, man. I'm excited.
Then I got quick.
Change my
What,
hat.
what do you think our boys over there doing with the Colts, Isaiah McKenzie and Zach Moss?
Well, Zach Moss is more of an insurance policy.
Insurance policy,
Uh,
if something
yeah,
goes down.
he's more of an insurance guy, and he might be using short yardage. Isaiah McKenzie, I am a little excited to see how they try to use him,
Yeah.
because we haven't really had a like a shifty slot guy since T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
So that's kind of going to be his role. We're still trying to develop Pittman as a number one. We really like the kid from Cincinnati that we drafted last year. I can't think of his name now.
Alex, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think McKenzie is going to be that veteran guy who's going to work out of the slot. Zay Flowers, Ravens went receiver.
The Flowers. Wow.
I'm surprised at that one.
They're trying to get Lamar some weapons over there, man.
Yeah, it might be it might be because they know they can't get D-Hop.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what it is, because
they probably been trying to work that angle all day, and if they know like we're not gonna get him, then all right, let's like you said, get another weapon.
Yeah. So yeah, now I think the Giants.
Is he the number 2 or off the back? He's number 2. Aside next to Odell.
Depends on when Bateman comes. If he's able to start the season or not. If Bateman's able to start the season, he'll be the 3rd. If not, then yeah, obviously he's gonna be number 2 because ain't nobody else out there. So,
Duvernay.
And
but they like to use Duvernay on special teams as well. So Duvernay, it's tough for Duvernay to be your number 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zay might come in and be the guy who, has to compete for the number 2, because I do agree with Trip. Bateman is gonna have the first dibs on that.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I mean, I'm gonna go to another Ravens game this season, so I'm gonna definitely get to see him up close and personal and see how they do. But I mean, listen, I think as long as Odell and Lamar can stay healthy, it's gonna be a huge boost for those guys, for both of those, for Bateman and for Zay. I think it's gonna be a huge help, because if Odell is healthy, you got to double him, which means that one of them 2 guys is going to get a lot of open catches.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Who we got next on the clock? I think it's Jacksonville next.
The Vikings and then Jacksonville.
Okay, so we got the
Yeah, the Vikings. I think the Vikings were probably targeting a receiver, but now they might be gone.
Yeah. Well, let me see who's left as far as the receivers go. Who's the best available?
Yeah, I didn't get your reaction. What did you think when what's his name took over the head coaching job in Indianapolis? The guy from ESPN.
No, I was fine with it, because
You
as I
fine with
said,
it?
yeah, because I think there was outrage for no reason. Like, people treated it as if like he got some sort of guaranteed deal. Like, let's call it what it is. If you fire your head coach in the middle of the season, 9 times out of 10, nobody else wants that job in the middle of the season, right? Like, that's not their staff, that's not their players. So it was like, hey, if he does great. If he doesn't, we probably gonna move on anyway, which is what we were doing. When he came in, our season was practically lost anyway. We had just benched Matt Ryan the week before anyway. Darius Leonard was out for the year. So we didn't have much to play for other than pride at that point. And I think people treated it as if like he got like a 5-year deal from the Colts. He was the interim coach. He never even got the label of like our official head coach. He was the interim guy. So nothing wrong with that.
Who's over there now for you guys?
Shane Steichen. He was the offensive coordinator with the Eagles.
Oh, okay. You like him? You think he's all right?
Yeah, and that's why I like the pick for Anthony Richardson. Because you bring in, if you're going to tell me you're giving me the offensive coordinator who was in Philly, who designed their whole offense with the RPOs and everything they did, then you got to get him a quarterback who can execute that. And Anthony Richardson fits that perfectly. And then I also like the fact that they brought in Gardner Minshew as kind of like the stopgap until Anthony Richardson is ready, because Gardner was with Philly the last year and a half, so he knows the offense. He'll probably start the first 3 or 4 games until Richardson's completely comfortable with the offense. And then you're going to see a lot of RPO between Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. So I think it makes sense. You got to draft to the strength of your head coach. He's also a guy who spent some time with Justin Herbert. He was with Herbert his rookie year when Herbert threw for 31 touchdowns. So, he's got a track record of being able to work with young quarterbacks and develop them. So if he can do what he did with Jalen Hurts with Anthony Richardson, then we're on the right track.
You think it was time for Frank Reich to leave? It was time?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think Frank dug his own grave with the Carson Wentz move. He practically begged the front office for Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't work out, it's like now here we are again trying to find another quarterback, and then we end up on Matt Ryan. And you can't make that work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think Frank is a good coach, and I think he will do well with Bryce Young, but with us, it was time.
How did Carson Wentz fall so fast? Because I mean, we're literally talking about a guy who was in contention for MVP that last year with the Eagles, the year they won the Super Bowl, and like it was like the sky was the limit for him, and then he gets hurt, and then it just was like all downhill from there.
I think I mean some of the things that we all heard when he left Philly was his lack of leadership. That he didn't lose the locker room because of his play. He lost the locker room because of his lack of leadership. As a
Yeah.
Colt fan, I kind of felt the same way too. When we were at our best that year with Carson, it was when Jonathan Taylor got 25, 30 carries a game. But
Yes.
whenever we were down and he had to throw the ball, it could get ugly. It would look ugly. And he just never seemed to be somebody who would take accountability for his shortcomings as a quarterback. It was always like, well, we gotta be better here. We gotta be better there. And it's like, nah, bro, you gotta be better. You
Yeah.
gotta execute this game plan a little better. You know, when it was a win and get into the playoff situation against Jacksonville, he threw 3 interceptions and fumbled once. Like that's on you, bro.
Yeah.
And I think you saw it in Washington as well. They looked way better when Tyler Heineke was their quarterback. So, and we know Tyler Heineke ain't a Hall of Fame quarterback, but for some reason the guys rallied around his leadership way better than they did Carson Wentz. So I think that's really what led to his fall.
Yeah.
Looks like the Celtics going to win this game.
Oh yeah?
Yep, 126 to 120 with like 19 seconds left.
I bet.
So it's over. All right.
Oh, I guess Nestor might have lost connection. I might have pressed the wrong button there.
Well, it's all good, man. Either way, this playoff the NBA playoffs is getting very very interesting right now. I'm looking
Trip,
forward.
we got to lock in a time, Trip, because 1:00 Sunday. I don't know if you heard. There's a team from New York that plays in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They-
Yeah, I know. They do play on Sunday at 1:00.
Yes.
I think. All right, so we may have to do Sunday night again then.
Okay, we could do that.
After that, let me see. What's the last game? When does the last game start?
Let's see.
Is the schedule even up for the rest of the games? Because we don't even know who's gonna be playing in the rest of the games yet.
Well, we'll have an idea because since Boston won tonight, I'm assuming that they probably going to be playing Sunday as well against Philly. Let me see. So Sunday right now, the Knicks Miami 1:00 is the only one that's officially scheduled. If LA Memphis goes game 7, that'll be Sunday, and if Golden State Sacramento goes 7, that'll be Sunday. But I expect this to update because remember Philly's been waiting around for a few days.
Yeah.
So now that Boston has won that series, I would expect Boston and Philly to kick off on Sunday.
Okay, so maybe we'll do 7, 8 o'clock on Sunday.
Once we have, like I said, I think after tomorrow's games for sure, because Lakers play tomorrow, we'll have a better idea if the Lakers are going 7. I hope y'all take care of that because Braun was looking a little gash yesterday.
Yeah, that's why he got that's why Darvin Ham told him to sit himself down early because we need him for game 5. I mean game 6, excuse me, so they can close out in LA. So Braun will be ready.
Because right now for Saturday, the only game that looks like it's taking place Saturday is the start of the Phoenix-Denver series.
Okay.
So
as long as we can get another game like Anthony Davis had that game, if we can get him to go back to back with those kind of games going back to LA, I think the Lakers will be good and they'll be able to close it out in 6.
Lakers got to finish that off tomorrow. I don't think they can play around and let this go 7. They got to finish it off tomorrow.
Because you definitely.
What do you think is wrong with Memphis? Every year they was like, you think they're too cocky? You think they got to humble themselves?
Yeah.
They always choke in the playoffs, man.
Yep.
I just think that's part of it, but I just think they're a young team and they're not as talent-wise or roster-wise, I say, they're not as talented as other teams.
That's true. They're really not because there's really a huge drop. I mean, there's a huge drop from Ja Morant to Jaren Jackson Jr., who's the second best player. And then there's a larger drop once you get past Jaren Jackson Jr. Desmond Bain is all right, but there's still a gap. Was it Brandon Clark who got hurt this season? There's still a gap with the rest of these guys. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. is not a legit number 2, I don't think at least. So even though he's, congratulations on defensive player of the year, but he's just not a legit number 2 superstar to run with John Morant. So, and since there's levels between them, and then everybody else kind of just falls in line after that, and then you probably got Dylan Brooks at the bottom of the barrel somewhere down there. But those guys, they definitely need to make some moves this offseason. I don't think this is a championship roster that they have. This is all banking off of John Morant, and everything can't be focused on just John Morant all the time.
Like we got to run on wide receivers right now. Let's picking up the wide receivers.
Minnesota, yeah, they took the wide receiver out of USC.
Okay, Jordan Addison. Yeah,
but yeah, that's what it is. I think Memphis is that is not a championship roster, and you can get away in the regular season with that, but in the playoffs, when a team can really gear up for you and focus their defense on you, that's when it starts to show that your roster just doesn't match up.
Yeah.
Remember, like years ago when Atlanta was the number 1 seed in the East with Al Horford and Millsap and them, and it's like, yeah, they're the number 1 seed, but talent wise, they don't match up with Cleveland. Like, it's not, what are we talking about? So the same thing with Memphis. Like, yeah, they're the number 2 seed, but in a series, I don't think there's a team in the West they could really beat in a series, because everybody in the West, I think, has better talent than they do.
Yeah.
You think if Kawhi played that series, they would have won? They would have better. They'll beat the Suns.
The Giants just traded up to 24.
Oh well.
Wait,
They just went
hold up.
They traded up one spot. They sprayed it up with Jacksonville.
Who they getting then?
Well, hold on. Yeah,
No,
the way it's showing it to me, they still at 25. They just moved some other pieces to go up to 24.
So they got 24. They got 25. Excuse me. They got 24 and 25 right now.
Right now, that's what I show. Yeah. Right now, that's what I show.
Shane, what's Joe Shane doing over there?
Well, all the wide receivers going, so I know it's not wide receiver. So they got to be taking with the kid Nolan Smith with one of those picks. But then I don't know who they take with the second pick then, because
maybe it is Joey Porter.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe they may take or Miles Murphy. Maybe they take
they go
to Nolan Smith.
Yeah, they probably going 2 defensive players. But I think if Kawhi had played that series, I think it gets more interesting. I still like Phoenix to win. But I think the Clippers could have put a scare in them, because we saw that in the first 2 games of that series. The Clippers were putting a little bit of a scare in them, and they would have been able to hang around. I thought they had a big advantage in coaching, because I think Ty Lue's a better coach than Monty Williams. I think Clippers had a little bit more depth when you can bring in Bones Highland and Eric Gordon and those guys off your bench. But it was still going to be tough to beat Phoenix in a series, man.
Yeah, I don't see Phoenix having problems really until you start getting later into the rounds, because they have no depth at all. And you can't keep playing these guys 40 plus minutes, especially, Chris Paul. You want to try to keep Chris Paul. If you can get Chris Paul down to 30 minutes a game, that's really where he needs to be at.
I think this series is really going to challenge them, man.
Yeah.
I could see Jamal Murray really going at Chris Paul in this series and really putting a lot of pressure on him.
Yep.
In that way, because Denver doesn't have anybody who can stop KD. We know that, but everywhere else, Denver matches up pretty well. Like, I like Joker better than DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
And then they could throw, Bruce Brown at Devin Booker. They got some athletes on their bench that they could throw at Devin Booker. So if they find a way, like Tripp said, if they wear down Chris Paul and Jamal Murray pretty much takes it personal, like, nah, I'm going at him every possession. We're going to put him in pick and rolls. We're going to make him chase me around. I mean, historically, we've seen Chris Paul starts to break down by game 3, game 4 of the series.
Yeah, the second round. This is about this is where the problem is going to come in. Because two things with the Suns, there's no depth and there's no defense.
Yep.
So now, as you get later into these rounds and the wear and tear, guys start to get more tired. You got to think you're dealing with 2 injury-prone superstars with Chris Paul and Kevin Durant. Devin Booker been getting banged up as well. So now, there's a lot of pressure on them, because when you start taking into account these guys having to play 40 minutes a night, that stuff will take a toll on you. And I think it may not hurt them in the second round, but if they get out of the second round, I think that's when we're really going to see it start to take a toll on them in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I'm about to lose $100. Like, the Kings were up 2-0, and I had a coworker who says, "Yo, you can't count out the Warriors, they're a veteran team. I said, they ain't coming back. They won 3 in a row. You think that series is over?
Yeah, it's done. But to me, the 2-0 wasn't as significant as maybe you might have thought, because those games were close. Like, it wasn't like Sacramento was running them out the gym. Those games were close. It's just Sacramento made a couple more plays late to beat them. But now you see the Warriors are the ones making the plays late. And I think Sacramento blew a golden opportunity in game 4, man. If they could have gone up 3-1, if they would have won that game when Steph, makes the bonehead timeout call, and if they go up 3-1, I think it would have been over, because we know how bad Golden State has been on the road, and they would have had to win 2 games on the road to win the series. And I don't know if they could have won 2 games, but now that it was 2-2, all they got to do is win 1 game on the road, which they did, and I think it's over tomorrow night, man. I think they put them away.
Damn.
Yeah, I do too. Once they didn't win the game that Draymond was out, I knew the series was over at that point anyway.
Oh, the Giants did flip the 25, the 25th pick for the 24.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think, who did they think that Jacksonville was going to take that would have stopped them from, like, I think they could have still got whatever they wanted at that pick.
Well, we about to see right now.
The linebacker, probably like you said.
The pick is in, so we're gonna see.
Well, we'll see. I mean, either one of those guys on defense, I wouldn't mind having on the team, because we can use help in our secondary. We definitely can use help with the linebacker core that we got. So I wouldn't mind that, and on the line. So any one of those 3 guys is going to be a boost for the Giants on the defensive side of football. So I'm okay with any one of those picks.
Yeah, I mean, they only had to give up a 5th rounder to move up that 1 spot, really, to swap. So it probably is a guy they specifically targeted.
Let me get ready for the pick too. Hold on.
All right.
Yo, how many teams do you have in basketball, football?
I'm ready. I'm ready for the pick now. I'm ready to announce the pick, baby. Let's get it. Who we taking, fellas? Come on, we taking Nolan Smith? Come on, talk to me, y'all. What we doing out here in these streets, man?
I think it's Nolan Smith, man. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith, very good linebacker, man. High IQ, a guy that was on a back-to-back national champion. He brings a lot of leadership, a lot of versatility. Let's see. I'm watching here. I got it on mute, so I'm not able to hear the name. I just got to wait till it comes up.
And they don't got any linebackers over there, right? Over there with the Giants, right? Nothing down.
That's on the right home.
They got some hybrid guys like Olajari, right?
Yeah, who's pretty good.
Yeah, but he's more of a hybrid because they like to use him in pass rush situations as well.
Yeah, we could definitely use help at the linebacker position. So I think Nolan Smith does make the most sense here. Yeah. So let's see. Come on, fella. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, they took the corner from Maryland, Deonte Banks.
Thanks.
Well, Eric, you probably know more about that kid than me, though.
He's a good player. He's a long cornerback, physical, good top speed. He's a good player. I mean, I guess it's their preference, but like I said, you'll see as they show the highlights here, he's a good cornerback. He is definitely a good player. They saw something in him that they like, maybe schematically. Now, in Maryland, he did play a lot more zone coverage than man. So maybe that's why the Giants liked him more. They probably preferred him to fit their scheme a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, probably scheme. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little iffy on this pick. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna let it rock though for now. I'm gonna let it marinate, see how I feel about it, in a little while. But I would have preferred one of the other guys.
Now the Bills have just traded up to 25, so the Jaguars move back again.
Yeah. You like this guy over the cornerback, that Ringo cat, Clean Ringo?
I like him based on what the Giants are trying to do with their defense. So remember, this is Wink Martindale's defense. It's a lot of different blitz schemes. And I think what the Giants are thinking here is we're going to generate a lot of pressure, especially Thibodeau. Thibodeau's shown at the end of last year that he's going to be an upper echelon pass rusher. So maybe they feel like we're going to play a lot of zone in the back end and let guys sit on short throws and sit on reads. And I think Banks probably fits them a little better there.
The Bills probably get Nolan over here. They probably thought the Giants were going to move up to get him, and the Bills probably going to move up to get him.
Now, Nolan makes sense. I think Joey Porter makes sense here as well, like we talked about, because the Bills need secondary. So
yeah, but we lost Tremaine Edmonds too. So they're probably going to to the Bears. So they're probably moving up, thinking that they don't want the Jaguars to get him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of holes, man.
Yep. All right. Well,
I
we're
mean,
gonna
when you got an elite quarterback, you can live with some of those things, man. You ain't got to be perfect. You just got to be serviceable out there. But I think you're gonna like him, Trip. I think you're gonna like him. Like I said, a physical corner. He's a playmaking corner. Name wise, Joey Porter is a bigger name than him, but he's a good ball player.
All right. Well, listen, I'm gonna take your word. I know you down in the DMV now, Eric. So I'm gonna take your word on this one, and we're gonna rock out. We got one more pick left for the night, so we appreciate y'all rocking out with us. Damn, we done did 2.5 hours. This is definitely a record for us. 2.5 hours. We got one last pick. We're gonna get this Bills pick for Nestor because he is the Bills fan on the show. Make sure y'all following Nestor at the Hot Seat Podcast, dope show, another dope sports show. Make sure y'all following Nestor. Make sure y'all following us as well on all our social media. Once again, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/For the Fans Productions. And of course, make sure y'all subscribe to that YouTube channel. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen one more time for y'all. YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. We do air every Thursday on Verizon 43 for everybody that's in the New York City area. And if you are not, you can still watch us Thursday nights from the website, realfansrealtalk.com. Just click that red button. You can watch us from anywhere you want in the world. And once again, make sure you subscribe to both the Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show podcast. We are streaming on all major platforms. And we ain't going nowhere. We got a lot more work to do. So just keep rocking out with us. Just keep following us. That way you'll get the updates because we do bounce around so much with the lives on the weekends. Just keep following us on our social media so you can be the first in line once we get going. And again, we do have a couple of more of our friends that's going to be joining us within the next couple of weeks, couple of athletes, couple of entertainers that's going to be rocking out with us over the next couple of weeks. So make sure that you guys stay tuned in. While we waiting on that Bills pick, you know what? We might as well get into the final thought segment of the show, and then we'll announce that pick once it comes in. Nessa, you want to start us off with a final thought?
It's gonna be an interesting season this year. When is the schedule release?
That won't be out probably until like June or July.
Yeah, June or July.
Before that happens.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
We got a little time.
Little time. They said the Jets are about to get 6 primetime games now, and Aaron Rodgers is over there. So we'll see.
That is correct.
Of course.
I know Jets and Giants is gonna be one of them. I'm trying to. I wonder when they're gonna put that one.
That's gonna be crazy. That game, that game is gonna be really crazy. I mean, we did beat Aaron Rodgers last time we played against him, so I ain't too worried.
Yo, how do you like it down in the DMV? I forgot you over there.
I like it, man. I like it. It's a slower lifestyle, but I like it, man. I can't complain.
You close to Baltimore?
I'm closer to DC. I'm like 30 minutes outside of DC. I'm a little over an hour from Baltimore. So it's good either way.
How was DC? Is it like Baltimore's a kind of hood?
Well, it depends. If Baltimore's a little more hood, but it depends on if you're on the east side of Baltimore or the west side of Baltimore. But DC got his hoods too. It all depends where you hanging out at. But they both cool. They definitely, DC has some things. Baltimore has some things.
Yeah. All right.
It's cool. Like I said, you ever down in the area, let me know, man. We'll link up.
All right.
They're saying the pick is in, but it hasn't been announced yet. So Eric, give us a final thought, man, while we're waiting on that pick.
Man, final thought, as I always say, man, I appreciate everybody who tuned into the live. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're rocking with us, and we greatly appreciate it, man. Make sure you tune in. We're gonna drop some sort of teaser or trailer for whatever time we're gonna get together this weekend. It'll be sometime on Sunday, but we'll let you guys know. Tomorrow night, as always, I do my Friday night live series on Facebook, so make sure you tune in over there. And listen, man, I don't know if y'all heard, but there's a basketball team in New York that's pretty good right now. I don't know if the people heard or not. And we might be representing the Eastern Conference. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna leave it at that because I remember there was a time where people thought that team in Brooklyn was gonna take over New York. It never happened. Last time I checked as well, Julius Randle signed in New York the same summer that KD signed in New York. They both got the same amount of playoff wins. All right. So with that being said, Trip, we're gonna let this pick come in, and then we're gonna get up out of here.
I gotta let Kev his moment. The pick is in. They go with Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Utah. Nesta, are you happy with that?
That's shocking. We have Dawson Knox.
I was about to say, what happens with Knox then?
Maybe they trade him. I don't know.
I mean, the fans there look shocked as well.
Like
what do we do that for? Unless they plan on trading Knox.
I'm saying that I didn't understand that one.
I didn't get that one. I mean, he was the second best tight end. I actually like the other dude better than him though.
Myers, right, was the best tight end.
Yeah.
That was weird. If he was going to take a tight end, why not take the best tight end in the draft? I'm more baffled behind
unless they're going to go 2 tight end set. I don't know what they're going to do.
That's exactly what they're probably going to do.
Yeah, but they're
probably going to go 2 tight end and be a more physical running team with Damian Harris, and then try to create mismatches off that. I get it, but to Nesta's point earlier in the live, they needed to address some issues in their secondary. And
I'm surprised they didn't take Brian Branch.
Right, you have Branch and you have Porter there
still available.
And to trade up to take Kincaid, I don't know if that's the quality move. I mean, I think you might have still been able to get Kincaid at 27. Like, you moved up 2 spots. I think you could have probably just took him at 27.
Yeah, like if you were gonna, that's crazy. Well, listen, that's gonna be a wrap for us on the night. I'm still happy about Baltimore.
Thanks for having me once again, man. Thanks for having me.
No doubt, bro.
Appreciate you, Nesta, coming out. So listen, guys, hope you guys enjoyed our NFL draft special. Thank you again to Will from On the Board Sports, and of course Nesta from the Hot Seat Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to both of those guys' shows. Definitely 2 good shows. If you want to listen to some good sports talk, follow those 2 gentlemen. With that being said, though, for myself, Trip Young, my brother Eric Sanchez, Legend in 2 Games, and Nesta from the Hot Seat Podcast. We up out of here. Peace.
All right.
I'm tired, man.
Super tired, bro. I'm gonna holler at you later.